Part 17. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 161. Chapter 161, The ferocious man-eating vine kills everyone in the house. Zhizzy! Zhizzy! The screams echoed in the silent sewer. The sound was so obvious that Lin Fan turned his eyes. When he saw the source of the sound, his eyes suddenly narrowed. The dark environment of the sewer had no impact on Lin Fan. With his strength, he could see normally even in the dark night. At this time, on the left side of Lin Fan, on the sewer pipe 100 meters away, a big rat with dead gray eyes and a dirty body was struggling violently. The screams of squeaking kept coming from the rat's beak. Issue 2. The reason why it screamed was because the mouse was firmly tied by an emerald green vine as thick as an adult's thumb. No matter how hard the mouse tried to crawl back to a mouse not far away, he couldn't climb through the hole at all, and was even dragged back by the man-eating vines. This rat is quite big. Maybe the sewers are rich in nutrients. This big rat is 20 centimeters long. Not counting the tail, it is already huge. The key is that it's still very fat. This mouse has been infected by the zombie virus. You can tell just by looking at the dead gray eyes, but I don't know if its habits have changed. Just looking at the movement of trying to crawl to the mouse hole, it may be that the habits have not changed yet. The densely packed tentacles of the man-eating vine have penetrated into the body of the zombie rat, catching it firmly like barbs. At the same time, the vines are still twisting, like a hunting python, pulling the zombie rat away. Tie tightly, the man-eating vine continuously draws the blood of the zombie rat, and at the same time injects paralyzing toxins into the zombie rat's body. At this time, the zombie rat is like a trapped beast. Under the double weakness, the zombie rat quickly loses the power to resist. Being dragged and pulled towards a piranha flower. Even some man-eating vines seem to have discovered the mouse hole above the sewer pipe. A man-eating vine slowly penetrated in, and the vines kept spreading. On the other side, the piranha flower had already opened its beak full of sharp teeth. Biting the zombie rat's body, the man-eating vine soon let go and fell to the side, continuing to wait for the next prey to come. As for the piranha, it chewed twice like a human eating, then closed its mouth and stopped moving. It was obviously digesting the food in the cup. It takes time for the piranha to digest food. Normally, it takes about 10 seconds. Days or so, of course, it also depends on the size of the prey. The difference is that thanks to the energy of Lin Fan's plants, these piranha flowers digest faster, are larger, and are more toxic. The current piranha flowers are only in their infancy. As they grow up, these piranha flowers will become larger. By then, the sewer will become a nightmare. Even if a person falls in, he will not be able to escape being swallowed by the piranha flowers. And in fact, there are more than just man-eating vines and piranha flowers. There is also an advanced variety of this plant. When the piranha grows to its final stage, it will turn into a man-eating tree. At that time, the piranha is truly terrifying. There will be no living creatures within at least a few kilometers around the man-eating tree. This kind of thing seems to be only found in virgin forests and tropical rainforests, and it is still very rare. It is still difficult to grow to this stage. However, Lin Fan did have an idea. This was what he came up with when he saw the piranha flower just now. Lin Fan felt that it was necessary to give it a try. With plant powers, it shouldn't be difficult for him to do it. Maybe it would be very simple. Indefinite. Ding. Kill zombie rats, gain 0.1 points, plant power experience add 0.1, current experience is 9954/10,000. Tip, decimal points are not included in the statistics, and will be automatically increased after 1 point of experience. Lin Fan was stunned and looked at the piranha that had just eaten a zombie mouse. Lin Fan's expression was wonderful. Can he get money back so quickly? Although he only has 0.1 points and experience, no matter how small a mosquito is, it is still meat. You can't expect a mouse to gain as much experience and points as a human, right? A zombie dog is only given 1 point of experience and points if it has adequate attack power and destructive power. This mouse is not worth 1 point no matter how you look at it. Squeak. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The sudden scream attracted Lin Fan's eyes, and he looked towards the direction of the sound. In an instant, Lin Fan was filled with questions. My mother? This is too cool. Are you going to kill them all? It's so cruel. Yeah. The sound came from the mouse hole. I saw that in the mouse hole that the man-eating vine had just penetrated, mice of large size were pulled out alive by the man-eating vine. No matter how the mouse's claws scratched, they were all. It didn't help that the man-eating vine was still very strong in terms of defense. At least the zombie rats had teeth that could crush the earth and rocks, and could not break the man-eating vine in a short time. Even because they bit open the skin of the man-eating vine, those with the paralyzing venom was still swallowed by the zombie rat, and now it had less resistance. If the cannibal vine had a merit award, Lin Fan felt that this cannibal vine would definitely be awarded a medal. Good guy, 7 or 8 on the meter-long vines. There were actually 17 or 18 mice of various sizes hanging on them. The largest one was similar to the one just now, but I don't know if it was a male or a female. The others were smaller, but they were also about the size of an adult's hand. There were only 4 or 5 of them, and the rest were a bit miserable. They were all little mice that seemed to have just been born, and their fur had not even grown yet. They killed all the mice in the nest. This was more than just a show. This is so awesome. Lin Fan's scalp was numb from the show. You just caught the ones that ran out of the mouse nest, but you didn't let go of the ones in other people's homes. It was too much. 17 or 18 mice were eaten. The man-eating vine dragged on, and soon there was no movement. It must have been that the paralyzing toxin had paralyzed the nerves and completely lost the ability to resist. Next, the man-eating vine was just like feeding its cubs, sending the mice on the vine one by one to a flower. In the canopy of man-eating flowers. Looking at this scene, Lin Fan couldn't help but shake his head. With these man-eating vines and piranha flowers in the sewer, it is simply a nightmare for zombie rats. From now on, zombie rats are probably doomed. However, the mice just now also confirm the problems mentioned before. Indeed, not only zombie dogs and zombie cats, but also mice are all infected, but they just haven't had time to run to the ground and form a rat plague. Think of hundreds of thousands of mice. Lin Fan now feels a little scared. Hundreds of thousands of zombie rats would be a huge disaster. In terms of destructive power, they are no less than a tide of tens of millions of zombies. Zombie rats are smaller, faster, and harder to kill. But zombie rats are very contagious, and they are good at biting people and destroying food. Not to mention infecting people by scratching their claws and teeth, but if they eat your food, those rice noodles will definitely have zombie viruses attached to them, right? By then, people will not be infected if you eat it carefully. What will happen? Lin Fan is very lucky to have discovered it early and prevented it early. As long as all the underground pipes are covered with man-eating vines and piranha flowers, the City of Judgment will not have to worry about the problem of zombie rats. From food, the human flower looked back and saw the effects of the man-eating vine and the man-eating flower. Lin Fan was full of confidence and more energetic. Tomorrow, the plant power can be promoted to LV7, not to mention the LV7 plant power. In terms of ability, energy alone has increased by at least 3 times. In fact, not only the plant abilities are about to be upgraded, but the earth element abilities and demon cat abilities are also about to be upgraded. Fortunately for Muyuking's previous outburst, Muyuking had been lagging behind for a while. In terms of experience, Muyuking had been thousands of points behind his 2 best friends, Zhao Yanyan and Li Saiki. Before, the condensed flame demon cat was wreaking havoc, and with this experience, he immediately caught up. System, open personal properties. Character, Lin Fan. Strength, 201. Agility, 200. Intelligence, 214. Physique, 220. Points, 62,180. Ability, Magnetic Field Control LV7 Lightning Control LV7 Plant Control LV6 Earth Element Control Level 6 Demon Cat LV6. Experience, 39015/10W, 9237/10W, 9954/10000, 9690/10000, 9876/10000. Items owned, Flying Knives *100. The number of participants in the battle increased, and the points came faster. Of course, part of the reason was Lin, if you go out and kill zombies by yourself today, your points will increase as fast as if you were riding a rocket. In just one day, the points reached more than 60,000 in one go, and the mark of 100,000 was not far away. However, there is no rush for the 100,000 points. What needs to be considered now is what is better to exchange for the next superpower. It is better not to favor one over the other. After all, Suziologo has made a considerable contribution. As he walked, he was thinking about what new powers he wanted to redeem. At the same time, Lin Fan did not stop moving his hands. Plant powers kept pouring out, and man-eating vines slowly covered the ground of the entire hospital. Until the plant energy was exhausted, Lin Fan finally covered every inch of the underground sewer pipes in the entire hospital with man-eating vines and piranha flowers. Apart from anything else, it would be as difficult for a zombie rat to crawl out of the ground alive as it would be for the sun to crawl out of the ground alive. Come out to the west. Lin Fan clapped his hands and shook off the dust on his hands. He glanced at the green man-eating vines and piranha flowers that filled the passage. His figure slowly sank into the ground. When he reappeared, he had arrived at the entrance of the supermarket. It was still 5 o'clock in the evening when we went down, and when we came up it was already dark, and stars could already be seen shining in the sky. Back on the second floor of the supermarket, Lin Yu and the others were back, and it seemed that everything had been arranged. Standing at the door, letting Yu Yiren kneel on the ground and change into slippers, Lin Fan walked step by step to the edge of the sofa and sat down. Lin Yu, who was writing something next to her, put down her pen, squinted her eyes and got into Lin Fan's arms. "Have you found anything underground?" "We did find that, just as we thought before, zombie rats appeared in the sewer pipes. The exact number is unknown. Fortunately, we took precautions early, otherwise we would have been in a hurry when these zombie rats broke out of the ground." With that said, Lin Fan told Lin Yu what he saw underground. When he heard that the man-eating vine had pulled out all the rats in the nest, Lin Yu had a smile on his face, and he obviously felt very sad. Interesting. Fortunately, it was discovered early and a disaster was avoided. We have finally developed to this point. If too many maids die at once, many things will be difficult to arrange. I think zombie rats cannot be found only here, and there should be other cities as well. When these potential hidden dangers break out, I don't know how many cities will completely fall. Hearing this, Lin Fan fell silent. With him in the City of Judgment, there is no hidden danger of zombie rats. But what about other cities? Are there other cities? When these dirty rats crawl out of the ground, at that time, a new apocalypse will come. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Doomsday. Chapter 162. Chapter 162, The Grim Form of the Imperial Capital, Human Body Modification Experiments. Eastern Empire, the Imperial Capital. For more than half a month, the sound of gunfire still continued, and the smoke of gunfire rose into the sky, making the already bad environment and climate of the imperial city even worse. The sky was gray, and the thick smoke seemed to condense into a ball, lingering in the sky for a long time, like a curtain, completely covering the stars in the sky. Even the roar of the zombies could not be suppressed by the sound of gunfire. In this late night, it was impossible for the survivors to sleep. In the presidential office of the imperial capital, the severe situation made it difficult for Yang Ligong to hide the fatigue on his face. The artillery fire that lasted for more than half a month put the inventory of the ammunition depot in jeopardy. If it were not for the two major military factories that have been manufacturing ammunition without stopping, only I'm afraid that the artillery and firearms on the defense line have already misfired. But even so, the production of ammunition cannot keep up with the speed of consumption. Soldiers on the front line are often forced to rush out of the fortifications and pick up machetes to fight zombies. The zombie virus is very scary and will appear almost every time. Small casualties. As president, Yang Ligong felt for the first time that there were too many people in the imperial capital, and that there should not be so many permanent and floating populations in the imperial capital before the end. You can't even kill all the zombies you've turned into. There are more than 20 million permanent residents, not counting the floating population. As the cultural center of the Eastern Empire, the floating population in the imperial capital is also quite terrifying. Adding them together, in the entire imperial capital of more than 16,000 square kilometers of land, there is a population of close to 30 million, which is simply outrageous. This has also caused the current predicament of the imperial capital. The zombie siege has more than 20 million zombies surrounding the entire imperial capital. More than 1 million soldiers and survivors are huddled within the second ring. If it were not for the moat and various fortifications, stop it, more than 20 million zombies have already broken through the imperial capital's defense line. The sound of artillery fire was so fierce that more than 1 million survivors gathered together, and the aura of living people exuded was so strong that it attracted almost the entire imperial capital's zombies to condense into a zombie wave, which continuously attacked the military defense lines. The result of too many zombies is that corpses pile up like mountains. The zombies that follow can step on the corpses of their companions and march straight in. If it weren't for the fierce firepower such as incendiary bombs, which burned most of the corpses into dregs, the current political and cultural center of the Eastern Empire may no longer be there. Exist again. Boom, boom, boom. There was a knock on the door of the office. Yang Ligong put away the fatigue on his face and said in a deep voice, "Come in." The door was pushed open, and the figure of Zhao Xian, director of the State Security Administration, appeared at the door. After closing the door of the office, Zhao Xian walked to the desk and said respectfully, "Mr. President, are you looking for me?" Yang Ligong nodded imperceptibly and asked, "How are the arrangements for the things you ordered before?" The issue of corpse tides and zombie animals has caused a stir on the internet. The imperial capital, which has been paying attention to the latest trends on the internet, has already known about it, and even found a huge corpse tide heading straight for the Lu family of the Demon City warlord through military satellites. Even when viewed from a military satellite, the boundless scene, like thick ink covering the earth, is still shocking and shocking. Compared with the situation of the Lu family, the warlord of the Demon City, the situation in the Imperial City is much better. At least for now, these zombies obviously do not have intelligent zombie command. They only know how to crowd together and attack the defense line brainlessly. Otherwise, judging from the situation on the side of the warlord Lu family in the Demon City, the imperial capital side would have been dragged down long ago. The zombie tide of more than 10 million levels has covered everything with its quantity. The hot weapons have also lost their due shine at this moment, especially the ammunition reserve is not enough to cope with the zombie tide of tens of millions. Before the end of the world, it is a peaceful period, and the ammunition reserve is not enough. That's too much. Arms are expensive to make, so long as they are enough, even if there is a war, the major military factories across the country will be able to produce at full capacity to keep up with consumption, but the result is doomsday. Zhao Jian had organized his thoughts before coming, and faced Yang Ligong's inquiry. He said in an orderly manner, report to the president, after close inspection by fighter jets, WASI and military satellites, no abnormality was found in the imperial capital, and the zombies still have no organization. But we did find a lot of zombie animals. A lot of. At the end, Zhao Jian specially added a sentence, which seemed to emphasize this quantity. In fact, as a statistician, Zhao Jian really knows how many the so-called many are. Yang Ligong frowned, as if he heard the overtone of Zhao Jian's words, and said solemnly, how many? Be specific. Zhao Jian was heartbroken, and after thinking for a moment, he tested zombie cats, zombie dogs, these small zombie animals probably, around 7 million, and there are also some other animals that escaped from the zoo. There is no approximate number. I almost choked to death. 7 million are just zombie animals like cats and dogs. How many zoos are there in the imperial capital? How many animals are infected? Yang Ligong doesn't even dare to think about it. How is the city wall going? How many places in the second ring road have not yet built city walls? Mr. President, the time is too short. Even after mobilizing most of the people, the construction speed of the city wall is still slow. It will take at least 1 or 2 months to build a city wall large enough to surround the entire second ring road. This has repeatedly lowered the requirements. In the case of the people didn't know much about building city walls, and there was a shortage of materials, so. Seeing Yang Ligong's face getting darker and darker, Zhao Jian couldn't speak anymore. No wonder Yang Ligong's complexion turned bad, after a month or two. Did the soldiers of the imperial capital last that long? The most direct consequence of insufficient ammunition supply is that the zombies rush directly onto the battlefield, and many soldiers are lost every time they fight with zombies. If this consumption continues, how many soldiers can bear this consumption? But Yang Ligong also knew that there was no point in blaming Zhao Jian for this kind of thing. He simply waved his hand and asked, has the sewer pipes and this corner been surveyed? Those rats in the stinking ditch must not be careless. Once we are inside, if zombies appear, the consequences will be disastrous. Speaking of zombie rats, Zhao Jian's face became much more relaxed. President, after a day of census, there are not many rats in the sewer pipes. After detection, there are not many rats in some rat holes. Signs of zombies, our soldiers have killed them all with rodent extermination equipment. It's just that time is a little tight, and our soldiers are still working hard to investigate. The problem in this area should not be big. The management of the imperial city has been very good these years. The number of these rats is not large. The president can rest assured. Finally heard some good news. A slight smile gradually appeared on Yang Ligong's tired face, but it disappeared briefly. How's it going at the institute? Has Dr. Wen's experiment made any progress? How is the progress of Dr. Yan's new weapon? The supply of ammunition in the imperial city is insufficient, so it is natural to make breakthroughs in weapons, such as electric laser weapons. Several power stations in the imperial city are operating normally, and the backup power system can definitely supply enough power for the use of new weapons. The relaxed expression froze. On his face, Zhao Jian looked very unnatural. He recalled the progress of Wen Shuhua's experiment and twitched his head. President, Dr. Wen's experiment, there is indeed good progress, but it is too cruel in some aspects. As a person involved, Zhao Jian witnessed Wen Shuhua's research process with his own eyes. It was a bit creepy. It was too cruel and too bloody. Although the progress was good and there seemed to be some breakthrough progress, he just wanted to say one thing. What a madman! Harmony. Seeing that Zhao Jian's expression was wrong, Yang Ligong seemed to have thought of something, frowned, and said in a deep voice, research always requires some cost, and this can only be done in extraordinary times. Let's just talk about the research results. Zhao Jian nodded silently. He understood the reason. Dr. Wen's research progress is very good. His experimental direction is genetics. He fills the human gene chain with animal genes and rewrites the genetic profile, successfully creating the first batch of cat-shaped modified humans, leopard-shaped modified humans and bears. These human beings are more like animals in appearance, with long hair on their bodies, and their speed, explosive power, and strength have increased exponentially. Dr. Wen's idea is that since animals will not be targeted by zombies, then create modified humans with animal genes. After experiments, put these modified humans and zombies together. The zombies have no obvious desire to attack, only to be attacked. They will fight back only when the time comes, but they are no match for the reformed warriors. According to tests, the weakest cat-shaped cyborg can cope with the siege of 5 to 8 zombies, the leopard-shaped warrior is more powerful and can cope with the siege of 10 to 13 zombies, and the bear-shaped cyborg is terrifyingly powerful and has become much larger. The hare's defense is very strong, and its combat power is also terrifying. The upper limit has not yet been tested, but it is conservatively estimated to be more than 30 zombies. Following Zhao Xian's report, Yang Ligong's eyes opened wider and wider, especially when he heard that the last bear-shaped transformer could deal with more than 30 zombies. He couldn't sit still. Warren stood up. Yang Ligong stared at Zhao Xian, breathing rapidly and his eyes full of excitement. Has Dr. Wen's experiment made such great progress? What is the success rate of transforming people? Are there any disadvantages? And what about the controls? Shocked by Yang Ligong's state, Zhao Xian quickly said, in terms of control, Dr. Wen has installed self-destruction devices in the heads of these transformed humans. Even if they are infected by viruses, they can be destroyed at any time. This is a disadvantage of the transformed humans. Because it is mixed with animal genes, it makes you irritable and easy to lose your mind. Especially when fighting, it is very crazy. It can be understood as a disposable item. Once it is spread out, it is basically impossible to take it back. In terms of success rate, it varies according to the human body. The cat type has the highest success rate of 50%, the leopard type has a 30% success rate, and the bear type has a 15% success rate. If the target is a white or black race, the success rate can be reached 30%. Hearing this success rate, Yang Ligong calmed down a little. President, Dr. Wen asked me to ask you, is the transformation experiment now ready for mass production? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Doomsday. Chapter 163. Chapter 163, The rat caught by the survivors. The zombie crisis broke out. Mass production? These two words flashed through Yang Ligong's head. 50, 30, with a success rate of 15, even if these people were death row prisoners, Yang Ligong couldn't make a decision for a while. Considering the current severe situation in the imperial capital, Yang Ligong quickly made a decision compared with the soldiers on the death row. Tell Dr. Wen that mass production can be carried out, but I must see the effect, and the control must be good. I don't want to see the emergence of intelligent zombies, and be turned around by these modified people infected with the zombie virus. Attack. Yes, Mr. President, Zhao Xian responded expressionlessly. Looking at the expression on Zhao Xian's face, Yang Ligong knew that he felt uncomfortable. This kind of experiment was indeed very objectionable, but he had no good solution at the moment. Okay, let's talk about the progress on Dr. Yan's side. How is the progress of the new weapons? Speaking of Dr. Yan, Zhao Xian looked much better. Dr. Yan has made breakthrough progress. The electromagnetic railgun tank has been installed. The only problem is that the stability is very poor. In addition, Dr. Yan is still researching mecha equipment. Previously, due to limited kinetic energy, mechas have always been decorations. However, inspired by zombies absorbing light energy, Dr. Yan said that maybe mechas will be successfully launched in a while. According to Dr. Yan, once the mecha is successfully developed, the zombie crisis will be minimized. In addition, Dr. Yan has created a new research topic on zombie cell optical weapons. The idea is to destroy the cell structure and detonate zombies. The light energy in the body can achieve the purpose of self-destruction. President, that's all for now. After digesting the situation reported by Zhao Xian, Yang Ligong showed a look of relief on his face. So far, this can be said to be the best news he has heard. Sure enough, the most reliable one is Dr. Yan. Director Zhao, what do you think of the Lu family, the warlord of the Demon City, and the tens of millions of corpses? Speaking of the Demon City warlord Lu family and the zombie tide, Zhao Xian shook his head and said unfavorably. Strictly speaking, the Demon City warlord Lu family is in danger this time. Under the command of intelligent zombies, the Demon City warlord Lu family is in danger. The family will face the same dilemma as us, that is, insufficient ammunition supply. The military factory of the Demon City warlord Lu family is not good at producing large-caliber ammunition, and it will be exhausted sooner or later. Even because of the presence of zombie crows, the Lu family of the Demon City warlord will be defeated faster than imagined. Maybe the Lu family of the Demon City warlord will be the first military region in the Eastern Empire to be destroyed by the zombie swarm. Tapping his fingers on the desk, Yang Ligong shook his head, stood up from his seat, picked up the baton next to him and walked step by step to the combat table. The baton tapped a certain place on the map, and Yang Ligong said, Director Zhao, you may have forgotten that the Lu family of the Demon City warlord also has a naval base, thousands of coastal defense artillery and as many as a dozen fleets, not to mention that the Lu family of the Demon City warlord belongs to an important coastal border defense area. They are equipped with the latest laser weapons. Although there are only 3 of them, combined with other anti-aircraft weapons, the zombie crows may not be able to defeat the Lu family, the warlord of the Demon City. Zhao Xian was silent for a moment and whispered, I'm sorry, Mr. President, my thinking was a little one-sided. It's okay, it's getting late. Director Zhao, go and have a rest early. I've worked hard for you during this period. Yang Ligong waved his hand, walked back to his desk, and put down the baton in his hand. Mr. President, you should also go to bed early and take care of yourself. The Empire cannot live without you. Well, I get it, go ahead. Zhao Xian quickly left the president's office. In the empty office, Yang Ligong looked at the naval base on the operational map and couldn't help but shook his head. If the imperial capital was located on the coast and had fleet support, how could it face such a dilemma? Unlike the inland areas, the navy has always had sufficient armaments, so as to deter those young people. Otherwise, there will always be some clowns who covet the territory of the Eastern Empire. Unexpectedly, now they have become the Lu family of the Demon City warlord to tide over the difficulties. The biggest help. The darkness in the imperial capital is very dark, the air smells bad, mixed with the smoke of gunfire. In the relatively quiet survivor resettlement area, several men formed a circle, with a bonfire burning in the middle. From time to time, several men looking to the left, with an expectant look in his eyes. It's been more than a month since I've seen any meat. I'm almost starved for it. Why hasn't Lao Wang come yet? Damn it, could this guy Lao Wang secretly eat the meat himself? Depend on. If he dared to do that, I would be the first to spare him. We brothers caught him together. A few men looked anxious and kept cursing in their mouths. Before they could curse a few words, a man hurriedly ran out in the darkness, holding a bag in his hand. A smell of blood came out of the bag. I heard you talking bad about me behind my back from all this distance. Am I, Mr. Wang, that kind of person? Doesn't it take time to deal with these little things? I spent a long time and was arranged by you. Next time you do this kind of bad work, don't look for me. I will sit here and wait next time. While cursing, a middle-aged man walked to the side and sat down with a bad look on his face. Several men hurriedly shouted, rubbed their hands and looked at the bag in Lao Wang's hand. Don't worry, don't be angry, bro, isn't this a joke? Are you brothers? Yes, brothers, isn't this a joke? How can I be really angry? Come on, come on, come on, come on, I can't hold back my saliva. That's right, Lao Wang, you've worked so hard, why don't you give me one more piece of cake later? Listening to the words of several men, the unhappy look on Lao Wang's face finally improved a lot. He untied the bag with his blood-stained hands, and in an instant, more than 10 skinned rats appeared in front of everyone. Look! After seeing more than a dozen big rats in the bag, a group of men kept swallowing their saliva and quickly started stringing the skinned rats on the prepared iron rods. Lao Wang and his group were building the city wall during the day, and there was insufficient material to build the city wall. Some houses were demolished. During the demolition process, a group of men discovered a rat nest and a rat probe. This was incredible. After more than a month without knowing the smell of meat, Lao Wang and the others' eyes turned green. Tingtu dug out all the mouse nests before catching these mice. The excited people didn't even eat much for dinner. They had already found a remote place to roast mouse meat. A few people specially found a remote place. Otherwise, if the rat meat is cooked and attracts others, why don't you eat it? You can enjoy the rat meat, listening to the popping sound of fat, and the aroma fills the air. If it hadn't been cooked yet, several people would have waited. No, I just started eating it. I couldn't eat it yet, and a group of people were chatting and chatting while they were grilling. Lao Wang suddenly discovered something was wrong. Why is there something wrong with the color of this mouse's eyes? I remember my eyes were not like this when they were peeled. Why were they so gray? A thin man next to Lao Wang glanced at the rat on an iron rod and wondered, really, the color of these eyes has changed. Did any of you notice it just now, opposite Lao Wang? A man covered in tendons looked at the two people with disdain and cursed, damn, I'm so ignorant. You have been roasting for so long, can your eyes not change color? Have you never eaten fish at home? What color is your fish stewed? The thin man thought carefully, smiled, and said with a smile, hasn't he never eaten a mouse? Don't mind, let me see, this rat meat seems to be cooked, let me taste it. As he said that, the thin man picked up the roasted mouse and took a bite. While chewing, he said intoxicatedly, it smells so good. Seeing the skinny man's appearance, the others couldn't bear it anymore. They quickly picked up the mouse meat and put it next to their mouths to bite into it. Seeing everyone eating, Lao Wang scratched his head and faced the rat that was full of color, flavor, and taste. Meat, I didn't care about so many problems anymore, I lowered my head and ate it fiercely. More than half an hour later, there were only broken bones left on the ground beside the campfire. After eating, Lao Wang and others picked their teeth and burped. Walking back, the figures of several people gradually disappeared in the darkness. Squeak! In the dark corner, several mice scurried quickly in the darkness. In the afterglow of the bonfire, the dead gray eyes of several mice flashed away. Such a scene is not only happening in this corner, there are rats in every corner of the entire imperial capital, and even on some dead bodies, many rats are lying on them and gnawing. If Zhao Xian could see this, he would never say the imperial city is well managed, and there are very few creatures like rats that everyone shouts about. It's not that there are few rats in the sewers, but that these rats have come to the ground from the sewers. A disaster is brewing, waiting for a moment to completely explode. In the middle of the night, in a certain building, the survivors were sleeping on straw mats one by one. More than 1 million people were huddled in the second ring area. How dense was it? In order to accommodate these survivors, this kind of room could only be used the way to sleep with multiple people. Vomit. Vomit. In the middle of the night, the sound of vomiting broke the dark silence. The sound of vomiting was loud and continued, and soon the survivors were woken up. Listening to the vomiting coming from the bathroom, many survivors cursed and turned over to continue sleeping. However, the sound of vomiting was loud and non-stop. Soon some survivors couldn't bear it and got up from the straw mat. Damn it, did you eat too much shit at night? Keep vomiting and vomiting. Ma Yang rubbed his eyes and came to the door of the bathroom. His words were full of anger. Anyone who was so noisy at night would not be in a good mood. There was no light in the bathroom, so Ma Yang turned it on and looked at on the toilet. The figure who almost had his head stuck in it walked over and kicked the opponent casually. Hey, how are you? Are you okay? The figure who had been kicked paused for a moment, and then, as if he had lost his breath, the hand holding the toilet was loosened, and his whole body was completely limp on the toilet. Everyone in Mayung was stunned. Damn it! Are you touching porcelain? But now that I think about it carefully, it seems that there is no point in touching porcelain. Ma Yang quickly squatted down and grabbed the figure lying on the toilet. I go. Lao Wang, wake up, wake up. There was a lot of movement in the bathroom, and soon other people came over. Looking at Ma Yang and Lao Wang in the bathroom, they were both a little confused. What's going on? Ma Yang patted Lao Wang's face and said, how the hell did I know, it was like this when I first came in. At this moment, Lao Wang, who seemed to be unconscious, suddenly opened his eyes. Ma Yang was relieved, but then he saw Lao Wang's deathly gray pupils. Suddenly, Ma Yang felt that something was wrong, something was not good, so I quickly wanted to push Lao Wang away. At this moment, Lao Wang suddenly jumped up, grabbed Ma Yang and bit him. Ah! The screams echoed, completely alarming all the survivors in the room. The people at the door were just about to come in to help, when they saw the ferocious look on Lao Wang's face and his deathly gray eyes. Funeral, zombies. Although I don't understand why Lao Wang turned into a zombie, I will not continue to pursue this issue at this time. The person who wanted to rush in screamed, and now the people blocking the door panicked instantly, and opened the door like crazy one by one. I wanted to escape. But I didn't expect it. As soon as I opened the door, several figures rushed in like crazy from outside. They bit people when they saw them. Soon the whole building collapsed, and the screams echoed in the room. In the night sky, the survivors in several nearby buildings were awakened by piercing screams. The piercing screams kept echoing, and the lights of several buildings were lit one after another. Survivors were lying on the windows curiously. Looking around, I soon found figures running out of the building screaming, followed by crazy zombies. Seeing this scene, everyone was scared to death, and they made phone calls one by one. Under night, the entire Imperial City survivor settlement area was in complete chaos. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Doomsday. Chapter 164. Chapter 164. The Imperial capital is in chaos, people are panicking, and the warlord Liu family in the capital is in trouble. In the second ring area, the roars and gunshots of zombies are so harsh. As a large number of troops arrive, the survivor settlement area has completely turned into a battlefield. The doors of each building were tightly sealed. Thousands of soldiers were holding firearms. Armed helicopters were hovering in mid-air. Huge searchlights kept scanning the ground. From time to time, zombies with hideous faces flashed by. Da-da-da. Chu-chu-chu. The gunshots continued, and the soldiers kept cleaning up the zombies that ran out. Some soldiers even rushed directly to the building where the zombies broke out. With the military's suppression, All the zombies in the whole building were soon cleared away. Military vehicles drove over. Senior officials such as Director of the State Security Administration Zhao Ziyan and President Yang Ligong were sitting in the car, looking out through the car window. Condition: Zhao Ziyan was in a daze now. Not long after he fell asleep, he was woken up by a phone call, saying that a zombie infection broke out in the survivor settlement area. In an instant, he was awake and no longer sleepy. Survivor settlement area? Isn't that a safer rear area? We are almost close to the first ring, and we are behind a tight protection. How could a zombie virus break out? Zhao Ziyan couldn't understand it. It had been very safe for more than a month and there had never been any zombie virus infection in the inner city. Why did a zombie crisis suddenly break out today? As soon as the phone was hung up, President Yang Ligong called in. After being questioned, Zhao Ziyan was speechless and didn't know what to say. In the military vehicle, Yang Ligong looked outside at the area that was under martial law. Zombie corpses had been brought out one after another and were densely packed all over the place. Looking at these corpses, Yang Ligong endured the anger in his heart and asked, "Who can tell me what is going on? Why do zombies appear in the inner city? How were these people infected? If they hadn't been discovered morning before the city was broken, we were captured by zombies inside." Faced with Yang Ligong's anger, no one dared to say a word. Everyone didn't know what the situation was. Now they spoke rashly. It's okay to say it's right, but it's wrong to say it. It's basically over. This incident is very serious. The survivors in the entire building have been infected into zombies, and the number is thousands. If this matter is not handled well and causes panic, the impact will be even worse. This is a complete shit basin, and no one who takes it will end well. With a belly full of anger, Yang Ligong turned to look at Zhao Ziyan and shouted sternly, "Zhao Ziyan, count the casualties as quickly as possible, and then find out the source of the zombie infection. I don't want to see anything like this again. Happened. Do you understand?" Zhao Ziyan felt bitter and nodded quickly. "Mr. President, I will definitely find out what happened as soon as possible and give you a satisfactory answer." After receiving Zhao Ziyan's assurance, Yang Ligong glanced at the increasing number of corpses in the open space with a sullen face, snorted angrily, and the military vehicle quickly drove away. The chaos subsided, but the survivors in the imperial capital were destined to be unable to sleep tonight. The sudden appearance of zombies made everyone feel frightened and afraid, and they did not even dare to close their eyes. They were constantly suffering in the panic. The original tranquility of the Liu family, the warlord of the demon city, was broken by a wave of tens of millions of corpses. The deafening sound of artillery fire echoed in the sky for more than 10 kilometers in a radius, and the dazzling firelight kept exploding in the area several kilometers in front of the military area. Large pieces of corpses were lifted into the air by the shock wave. A meteor shower flew across the sky, pulling its flaming tail and falling to the ground at a super high speed. The terrifying explosion shook the ground in the military area. On the front line positions, tens of thousands of soldiers were lying on the fortifications, holding machine guns. Huge searchlights illuminated the front line positions. Huge flares rose into the sky and stayed on for a long time, as if they were lighting up stars in the sky. The dazzling sun. On the frontier position, hundreds of thousands of zombies were charging non-stop. These zombies were not standing densely. Each one was 1 or 2 meters apart. Missiles flying from the sky exploded on the ground, with an explosion range of hundreds of meters. But the zombies that can be killed within a few hundred meters are really too few. Compared with the hundreds of thousands of charging zombies, it is just a drop in the bucket. With such loosely positioned zombies, powerful missiles and high explosive bombs could not cause devastating damage. However, the Liu family, the warlords of the demon city, did not dare to stop at all, and had to use heavy firepower to suppress the speed of the zombies. On the forward position, tens of thousands of soldiers opened fire together, and red bullets flew like meteors. The intensive firepower swept the zombies to the ground, but it was of no avail. Soon these zombies would stand up and continue to charge. Zombies are different from humans. Even if a big hole is blown into the heart, the zombie will not die. The only vital part of the zombie is the head. The recoil of the machine gun is very strong, and there is no way to aim, especially when shooting the running zombies. How difficult is it to hit the head? To eliminate a zombie, you often rely on the powerful firepower of a machine gun to completely tear the zombie into pieces. Only in rare cases will the zombie's head be blown open. The extremely low efficiency and loose positioning make most of the bullets if the attack is empty. If there is no heavy firepower to pull out the isolation belts, it would be too difficult to stop the charge of hundreds of thousands of loose zombies. In 12 hours, the zombies broke through the 6 defense lines on the periphery of the military area, breaking through from 10 kilometers to 5 kilometers away from the military area, and even this distance is still shortening. The 6 lines of defense have now become the territory of zombies, and with this, the number of zombie deaths is only 2 million. This is in addition to the zombies that were stationed densely before and were killed by large-caliber artillery and fleet cannons. Otherwise, the number of kills would not even be 1 million. Chug tug tut tug. The anti-aircraft guns were firing, and dense bullet chains rushed into the sky, like fireworks during the New Year. Large rains of blood exploded in the sky. Under the light of the illumination bombs, large swaths of black mist moved quickly and harshly. Even artillery fire couldn't suppress the crows' cries. Crows themselves do not have night vision, but the crows that have been infected by the zombie virus simply ignore the influence of the night and dive towards the ground like a suicide attack. In order to cover the ground troops, anti-aircraft firepower has been strafing. Even in the rearmost area, 3 tank-like armored vehicles are lying there quietly. The armored vehicles are all dark green, with a device like an astronomical telescope above them. Next to them, the little radar kept spinning. This is the most advanced laser weapon in the Eastern Empire. It can accurately target air targets within 2 meters in size and flying at a speed of no more than 60 meters per second. With a maximum range of 4,000 meters and an output power of 30 kilowatts, it is simply a flying target. Nightmare. This kind of laser weapon was originally designed to accurately attack some low-altitude unmanned aerial vehicles, but now it is used to destroy these zombie crows. The accuracy and power far exceed the range that the crows can bear. Wherever this laser weapon shines, zombie crows are shot down in droves, and each one is covered in scorch, dying to the point of death. Laser cannons are very powerful and are simply deadly weapons for zombie crows. The only disadvantage is that the number is too small and the energy consumption is serious. If there are enough, these zombie crows will not be able to fly down at all. In the conference hall of the Liu family of the warlord in the capital, Liu Jingyu and others, who had not rested for long, were sitting in their respective seats. The expressions on everyone's faces were very ugly, including Liu Yuanbin, the commander-in-chief of the military region who came first. As for the reason, it was because a major general from the combat logistics department was holding a combat report next to the conference table. According to current statistics, the North Sea Fleet fired 496 anti-ship missiles within 12 hours. The 3 major Army fire strike groups of the Army consumed 1/10 of the total ammunition stored in the military region. The mechanized infantry regiments of 2 reorganized divisions consumed 500 bullets. With tens of thousands of rounds fired, our army has killed more than 2 million zombies and shot down hundreds of thousands of zombie crows. One number after another hit the hearts of every general present in the conference hall. In just 12 hours, almost 1/10 of the property of the Liu family of the Demon City warlord was destroyed, and more than 2 million zombies were eliminated. The zombie crows hundreds of thousands. This war is considered a victory. How much strength does the Demon City warlord Liu family have left? Normally, a zombie wave of tens of millions, without the command of intelligent zombies, would rush up in a swarm. With the naval gun support of the North Sea Fleet and the firepower strike groups of the three major armies of the Army, any general present can assure you that at most one-third of the entire military region's ammunition storage can be used to defeat the enemy. The zombie tide is gone. But now, because of the emergence of intelligent zombies, the originally simple zombie tide has become so difficult to deal with. Who is in a good mood? The atmosphere in the conference hall was solemn, and the Major General of the Logistics Department held a combat report in his hand. It was very embarrassing for a moment. He couldn't sit down or not sit down. But he was a Major General and was in the Logistics Department. He had no say in this place. Not to mention how uncomfortable it was. He just got into a group of big guys and jumped into the street. The second half of the wolf pack was simply trembling. The atmosphere in the conference hall was solemn, and no one knew what to say. Everyone present, including Liu Yuanbin, knew in their hearts that there was nothing to say at the moment. Regarding the current situation, no one has used a good way to break the situation. The simplest is to launch strategic missiles, also known as nuclear bombs, which can solve many things with one shot. The Liu family of the Demon City warlord has strategic missiles, but lacks the password to launch the nuclear bomb. Even Liu Yuanbin does not have the commander-in-chief. But even if he did, Liu Yuanbin would not dare to give this order. Whoever gives this order will be finished in this life, even President Yang Ligong. Another way is to find among the corpses hidden intelligent zombies and then carry out targeted strikes. This is originally a very simple matter. Wuzzy, fighter jets, and fighter jets can do it, but millions of crows flying in the sky have completely blocked this road. As long as Wuzzy take off, these swarms of crows can detonate them for you in minutes. Today, the Liu family, the warlords of the Demon City, can only stay at home because they are proud of their aviation corps, and are forced to consume the zombies. The silence in the conference hall lasted for a long time, more than an hour, and the Major General of the Logistics Department also stood in that position for more than an hour. Let's break up the meeting. Sighing, Liu Yuanbin stood up silently, his back full of desolation and helplessness. As the heads in the conference hall left one after another, the Major General of the Logistics Department slumped directly on his seat. In the past hour, not only his body fatigue, as well as mental and spiritual suffering. The Liu family, the warlord of the Demon City, is now, like the Imperial City, caught in the crisis of the zombie tide. Forced by the endless zombies, they can't even leave their homes. They can only huddle in the military zone, and even keep shrinking the defense line. Compared with the Imperial City military region, the Demon City warlord Liu family is even worse. At least there are no intelligent zombies in the Imperial City military region. The Demon City warlord Liu family has the only intelligent zombies in the world. Was created by Liu Jingyu. If Liu Jingyu knew about this, he would be ready to strangle Yang Yiping to death. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 165. Chapter 165, Suzialuo's Choice of Powers, the Emperor's Life is Too Good. Lin Fan is not clear about the dilemma faced by the Liu family of the Demon City warlord and the Imperial City military region. At this time, he is holding Suzialuo in his arms with a look of expectation on his face. Xiaoluo, now Lin Fan is thinking about what kind of power should be better for Suzialuo. Theoretically speaking, both plant and earth powers are very suitable for Suzialuo. Isn't an architectural designer very suitable for these two? What Lin Fan was thinking about now was whether to give Suzialuo new abilities, or to choose between earth element powers and plant powers. Both options have their own advantages. The former means that he can get a new ability, and someone can help him gain experience. The disadvantage is that it may not be suitable for Suzialuo and cost an extra 10,000 points. In the case of the latter, no matter which of the two abilities they are more suitable for Suzyologo and can save 10,000 points at the same time. The disadvantage is that there are no new abilities. After thinking about these two options, Lin Fan finally decided to leave the choice to Suzyologo. With both hands, Lin Fan held Suzyologo's petite body and straightened her up so that she looked at him face to face. Lin Fan solemnly said, "Luologo, what do you want to know about your abilities? You can choose an ability that none of the sisters have, or you can choose one of the two abilities of earth and wood. From now on, plants will be collectively referred to as wood elements. Some people have always said in the comments section of the province, but actually I don't got it. What's the difference between plants and trees? Isn't it just that they have different names?" I always feel like after I say this, someone will criticize me again in the comment area. Earth. Earth. People want soil. Putting her white and tender arms around Lin Fan's neck, Suzyologo blinked her big eyes, her beautiful eyes sparkling like stars in the night sky. Listening to Suzyologo's crisp voice, she sat on the sofa on the top. Zhao Yanyan, who was wearing beautiful black stockings, raised her eyebrows, turned sideways, moved the beautiful clothes in black stockings to the other side, rested on the other pair of pants, raised her arms, and hooked her fingers on Suzyologo's chin. After a moment, he smiled and asked, "What's wrong? What's wrong with my wood element? Do you have to choose the earth element?" Snort. Lifting her chin to avoid Zhao Yanyan's fingers, Suzyologo wrinkled her little nose in disgust and hummed, "Don't touch me with your fingers. If my brother likes me, I don't like it. If he is my brother, it's the same. As for why I didn't choose the wood element, I am a cute little loli, not a queen who plays with whips, and I am not a royal sister like you. Besides, wood elements can't build houses. With the earth element, I don't need to bother my brother, I can build a palace at home by myself. I want to live with my brother in the palace I designed, and then you, the big goblin, will be locked outside." Zhao Yanyan pointed her plain finger at her chin, her charming eyes wide open, her face full of disbelief. "I? Big goblin?" Locked out, clenching her silver teeth, Zhao Yanyan stood up from the sofa, pinched her fingers and made a click sound. Her eyebrows stood up and she was full of evil spirits. She stared at Suzyologo fiercely and said in a hateful voice, "It's still cute. Cute little loli. The little liar doesn't even show you your ID card to see how old you are. See if I don't take care of you today." Suzyologo's head shrunk, he opened his eyes and shouted, "Help! Sister Kikai, help me, I am a determined Kikai party member, Sister Kikai, you can't let her bully me." Lee Psyche immediately jumped up when she heard the words, like an old hen protecting her calf. She hugged Suzyologo with her arms and looked at Zhao Yanyan with her neck twisted. "What happened to my earth element? How come you're being coerced? Let me tell you, we do not want evil forces in our family. If you want to bully Luologo, you must get through me first." With a backer, Suzyologo shook his little head, struggled to get out of Lee Psyche's two big pigs, looked at Zhao Yanyan proudly, kept squeezing his eyes and making faces, and an angry Zhao Yanyan rushed over. "Today I will hang you two up one by one big and one small." "Wow, yeah. Killed." Leaning on the sofa, Lin Fan looked at Zhao Yanyan and the three of them making trouble in his arms like an outsider. Oh no, the fight between the three women had escalated. The big pig, the small waist, and the arms kept brushing against his face. Especially when Zhao Yanyan ran behind the sofa to fight with Lee Psyche, Lin Fan was simply trapped in the middle. He was buried by four big pigs in front, back and left. If it weren't for the fact that all the pores in his body could absorb oxygen, Lin Fan felt that today they were going to be suffocated to death. Lin Yuyu and Zhao Wanqing, the two girls who were noisy here, raised their heads, glanced at Lin Fan who was very happy, shook their heads and chuckled, and continued to lower their heads to discuss something. The three of them had been fooling around for nearly half an hour. The female talents declared a truce and sat tiredly on the sofa one by one. Their pink faces looked extremely charming. After enjoying the 360-degree head massage for half an hour, Lin Fan was very satisfied. He looked down at his pink face. Lin Fan touched his nose embarrassedly as he kept twisting his slender waist and rubbing against the little Lolita. As a normal man, if he doesn't react normally when faced with this situation, there is definitely something wrong. As a person who causes trouble, it is normal to suffer disaster. He lowered his head and kissed Suzyalogo on the cheek. Lin Fan said softly, since you want the earth element, then I will give you the earth element. I will accept your heart arrive. After saying that, he lowered his head and kissed again. At the same time, the earth element in his body separated some seeds and slowly poured into Suzyalogo's body. Strictly speaking, does Suzyalogo prefer the earth element? Not necessarily, maybe he prefers novel abilities, or the wood element, but in order to build a palace as soon as possible, Suzyalogo chose the earth element ability. Building city walls is very troublesome, so the palace has not been started yet. Suzyalogo is small but careful. No, she was very smart, so she took the initiative to take over this burden, so that Lin Fan wouldn't have so many worries. After all, living in a supermarket in a hospital was not an option. Whose leader of a powerful family lived in such a place? Lo. Regardless of whether Suzyalogo's ultimate goal is to really like the earth element, or simply to help him reduce his burden, Lin Fan respects Suzyalogo's choice. Lolita, who are both legal, love them even more. Ding. After consuming 1000 points, the earth elemental power has been taught. Letting go of Suzyalogo's little beak, Lin Fan looked at the little Lolita with her eyes closed and her body exuding a faint light of earth element. Lin Fan's eyes were filled with relief. Not long after, Suzyalogo opened his eyes. The L1 earth element control has been mastered by her, and Lin Fan can feel the weak earth element energy slowly flowing from her body. Character, Suzyalogo. Strength, 10. Agility, 10. Intelligence, 18. Physique, 13. Faith value, 100. Superpower, Earth Element Control LV1. Lin Fan couldn't help but laugh when he looked at Suzyalogo's personal attributes. How pitiful is it that before, Suzyalogo's only four-dimensional attribute was intelligence above the horizontal line, which was as high as 15 points, and the remaining force sensitivity was serious failed. It was really difficult for such a young person to pass all four-dimensional attributes. Suzyalogo opened her big bright eyes and looked at her hands curiously, her eyes flashing with excitement. From today on, I am also a person with divine power. Big goblin named Zhao, if you dare to bully me again, I will let you know how heavy the little loli's punch is. While talking, Suzyalogo gestured to Zhao Yanyan next to him with his small fist wrapped in the earth element. Zhao Yanyan raised her eyebrows, a hint of disdain flashed in her almond-shaped eyes, and said disdainfully, little girl wants to fight with her sister, but she is still far away. If it were your sister Chi, it would be about the same. If you jump like this, can you do it to me someday? Are you going to be cornered in a corner and spanked? By then, you will break your throat and no one will come to save you. Suzyalogo's face fell. Although she was very unconvinced, it seemed that she was really not Zhao Yanyan's. The opponent's face suddenly looked as bitter as if he had eaten a bowl of bitter melon. Li Saiki raised her head and hugged Suzyalogo into her arms, comforting her. Don't worry, you have a sister to protect you, there's no way she can bully you. Let me tell you, when you build her own room, she won't be ugly. How ugly she is, how she did it, let's see if she dares to bully you in the future. Suzyalogo's eyes lit up, and he looked at Zhao Yanyan provocatively. With that expression, it was clear that the food was still very energetic. You two are so vicious. Zhao Yanyan shook her head, raised her delicate chin, hugged Lin Fan's face and kissed her, and said proudly, you can do whatever you want. Anyway, I will sleep with the Lord from now on. Do you think I can go to the one you made for me? The room is finished. If it doesn't work, I will sleep with Sister Yu and Sister Wonking. Little girl, if you have the ability, you can make the eldest and second sisters look ugly too. Suziologo wrinkled her little face, and her facial features were almost squeezed together. She hummed twice and got into Lin Fan's arms. Thanks to their courage, she didn't dare to provoke Lin Yu and Zhao Wonking, the two eldest and second sisters. Otherwise Peigu will bloom, and Li Saiki and Zhao Yanyan can play with her. As for Mu Yuking, this literary goddess is reading a book from nowhere on the sofa. Sitting there, she looks just like a painting, it is dignified and elegant. Any photo you take can be used as wallpaper, especially those two furry cat ears. They are cute, dignified, elegant, wild, lazy, and can change their temperaments at will. Suziologo. After the supernatural matter was resolved, Lin Fan looked at the time on the electronic watch. It was already late. He had not taken a shower since he came out of the sewer today. Although no one would say anything if he slept like this, Lin Fan, who was used to taking a shower every day, he always felt that there was something wrong with not washing. Especially since he didn't have to do it himself at all. Li Yun and the other three would take care of him and have someone take a bath without him having to do anything. Now Lin Fan finally understood what those ancient emperors lived. What a life! Although the feudal system is very bad, in a sense, those in power are the happiest, at least that's what Lin Fan thinks. Go get ready, take a shower and rest. Zhang Kaiyu, who was waiting next to her, nodded and walked into the bathroom. Yu Yiren went to the master bedroom to get a nightgown. Regardless of whether it is needed or not, things still have to be prepared. You don't have to wear them, but you must prepare them. If this, how can you be a good lady dog if you don't understand anything? Not long after, Zhang Kaiyu came over, stood next to the sofa and said softly, "My lord, please move, the hot water has been put on." Lin Fan nodded, picked up Suziologo and put it next to him. He stood up and walked to the bathroom. At the door, Yu Yiren was kneeling next to him with a bathrobe. When he saw Lin Fan walking in, he got up and followed him. Li Yun and the others were left alone. After taking off his clothes, Lin Fan went to the bathtub and lay down. Li Yun and the other three were waiting beside him. They had almost soaked. The three women walked into the bathtub and began to massage and clean Lin Fan. After a while, Lin Fan came out and looked at the confused Zhang Kaiyu, patted the edge of the bathtub. Then Zhang Kaiyu understood. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 166. Chapter 166. I like this Doomsday because I can do anything. Kaiyu, I remember that your identity seems to be the wife of the branch director, right? More than an hour later, looking at the limp Zhang Kaiyu leaning in his arms, Lin Fan comfortably accepted the massages from Li Yun and Li Yun. It felt really good to take a bath before going to bed, especially since he didn't have to do it himself. Before the end, Lin Fan, there are always places that you can't wash, so it's annoying. Zhang Kaiyu opened her eyes, looked up at Lin Fan with some fear, and said in panic, "I'm sorry, my lord, I can't leave myself clean to you, please lord." Chastisement. Looking at Zhang Kaiyu's scared look, Lin Fan chuckled and shook his head. What's the matter? I guess I wasn't very old when you got married. I was just sighing. If it were before the end, what would happen between you and me? My identity means that you may not even look at me. Even if you do, you will look at me in a condescending manner. After all, you are also the wife of the director of the Shanghai Municipal Bureau. You can be regarded as a noble lady. I don't know how many people fawn over you. I, a little brat, don't even have a chance to come forward. Therefore, I prefer this Doomsday. You, the wife of the branch director, Li Yun, the wife of the general bureau director, Yi Ren, the wife of a billionaire, I could only look up to you in the past, but now I only need to look down at you, and a look in your eyes requires you to try your best to guess, go think, these are all brought to me by the end of the world. Standing behind Lin Fan and constantly relaxing his muscles, Li Yun said softly, even if it is not the end of the world, Lord, you will soar into the sky. In the past, you were just a dragon hiding in the abyss. Hidden dragon in the abyss. Recalling the scene before the end, Lin Fan pulled Li Yun in front of him, looked at her obedient and beautiful eyes, and said, did you know that before the end of the world, I had terminal cancer, and the doctor told me to prepare for my funeral. I only had 2 or 3 days to live at most. In fact, there was no one to even collect my body. Zhang opened his mouth in surprise. Li Yun and the other 3 were surprised. They never expected that Lin Fan before the end would be so miserable. Surprising? When I woke up, I was also surprised, but these are not important. What is important is that I am different now from before, and so are you. I like this kind of doomsday very much. If people want to live it well, if you live a good life, you have to step on others and become a master. This was the case before and it is the same now. The end of the world is like a reshuffle of forces, giving everyone the opportunity to become a master, but the time is short. Wang Kui and Lu Jinbei before were just like that. Like them, I am not a good person. The reason is that I am stronger than them, so I can last longer. I am a complete bad person. Rubbing Lin Fan's big hand, Li Yun looked extremely well behaved. If it weren't for the lack of canine ears, she would really look like an obedient puppy. No, Lord, you are not. In my eyes, you are better than anyone else. Whatever I do for you, my subordinates will do it voluntarily. Yu Yiren also came over, rubbed her little face against Lin Fan's chin, and said softly, my lord, if it weren't for you, our life would be miserable now, and no bad person would care about his maid. No matter what you do, looking at yourself, at least in the eyes of your subordinates, you are very good to us. You. Yi smiled bitterly and said in a voice like a mosquito, you are very strong, and you are not as bad or disgusting as the men in those videos, subordinate. The subordinates like it very much. What Yu Yiren said was nothing more than the concern in the square yesterday. Although it was just a simple sentence and a little energy restoration, for Yu Yiren, she was indescribably flattered and moved. In terms of status, she and Lin Fan had the same despite the huge gap. Lin Fan was able to notice this and still care about her. Yu Yiren had been brainwashed at that moment. He pinched the chins of the 2 women one by one. Lin Fan laughed and said, whatever you say, don't think that if you say something nice, I will take care of you. That's impossible. I don't like flattery. Don't get tired of being around. The water is cold. Do you still have the self-consciousness of a maid? Having the courage to step forward and kiss Lin Fan, Li Yun lowered her head, slapped Zhang Kaiyu, and said angrily, why don't you hurry up and get up, are you a bit self-conscious about being a maid? Let the master soak yourself in cold water and hang you outside tomorrow to think about your mistakes. Getting up with difficulty, Zhang Kaiyu glared at Li Yun with hatred. She knew that Li Yun was seeking revenge. She could now remember clearly what she said in the kitchen that morning. She gave it a try today, and it didn't work. He said it was a real backache. After Li Yun and Yu Yiren carefully changed him into his nightgown, Lin Fan walked out of the bathroom comfortably. Although he had just eaten some appetizers, the real meal was still waiting in the master bedroom. Looking at him. After sending Lin Fan away, Li Yun and Yu Yiren walked back quickly. Looking at Zhang Kaiyu, who was still a little unable to get up, they both sang like a double act, and said in a strange tone, isn't it? Is it so delicious? Those who didn't know better thought she was a little girl. Yeah, Yeah, what's going on? Have you twisted your waist? Why can't you stand up? John Kayuyu's face was so wonderful. Aren't these the exact words she said that day? Well, these two people really hold a grudge. They will return the exact words intact, woman. Ha! A small arm can't twist the big one, look. Looking at the two women standing in front of her, John Kayuya showed a bitter smile and said flatteringly, there is nothing we can do. Put the sea-fixing needle in the small pond, and the pond will definitely collapse. Now that I have tasted it, the two sisters can help it. Can I take a moment? Otherwise, my sister will have to sleep in the water today. Poof. Seeing John Kayuyu acting mischievously, Li Yun and Li Yun didn't hold back. They laughed on the spot. They stepped forward, took John Kayuyu's arm and pulled her up. It's just a joke, and they have to go back to the master bedroom to sleep. Well, it would be bad if you get scolded if you go back late. Although the mistresses are very generous, this is not a reason to rely on pampering. There are many female warriors who scratch their necks and wait for them to make mistakes, and then come in to fill their seats. Well, they didn't dare to relax their demands on themselves at all. This feeling of competition is very stressful. They helped John Kayuyu, who had difficulty walking, back to the master bedroom, and looked at Lin Fan and Lin Yuyu who were having fun. A few people and the three girls lay down on the floor softly. John Kayuyu was so tired that she quickly fell asleep. Li Yun and Yu Yiren were almost used to it, and they didn't fall asleep until the lights were turned off. If it weren't for the three, the woman could sleep for a while during the day, but stayed up until midnight every night. The physique of an ordinary person would have collapsed long ago. Lin Fan woke up at dawn in the morning. He was not at all tired from working all night, but felt indescribably comfortable. He lowered his head and kissed Suzyalogo in his arms. The little loli smelled delicious and was like a pillow in his arms. Not to mention how comfortable it was. After being kissed by Lin Fan, Suzyalogo opened his big, confused eyes. Focusing, looking at Lin Fan in front of him, he rubbed his little head, kissed Lin Fan back, and then fell asleep again. With the strengthening of the earth element power, the little girl has obviously strengthened her physique, otherwise it would have been yesterday. He probably won't wake up yet, but being able to wake up now is already a good progress. After Lin Yuyu and the others woke up, Lin Fan also got up. The three girls, Li Yun, who had been waiting for a long time, each performed their duties and picked up the clothes they had prepared. He put it on Lin Fan gently. John Kayuyu was feeling unwell today, so the one wearing the trousers was replaced by Yu Yiren. Looking at Yu Yiren kneeling in front of him, Lin Fan somehow remembered Lu Minjiao, and when he spoke, Lu Minjiao is Yu Yiren's daughter. What about Li Yun and the others? Based on their ages, the child should be younger than him or about the same age. Glancing at Li Yun, who was adjusting his cuffs next to him, Lin Fan asked Li Yun, haven't you ever worried about your child? Is it your daughter? Lin Fan has no other meaning in asking this. If it's a daughter, then see if it can be rescued and reunited as mother and daughter. If it's a son, then just pretend that he didn't ask. Although it's true, this is his. She thought that her daughter was fine, but her son could just fend for himself. Li Yun's heart moved. If Lin Fan hadn't mentioned this matter, she would never have dared to speak. Now that Lin Fan mentioned it, she couldn't help but say, my lord, my daughter is 20 years old this year and goes to college in Fudan, which is a bit far away from us. Lin Fan felt relieved when he heard it was his daughter and asked, what's your name, on which campus? Li Yun still didn't know what Lin Fan meant now, so she quickly said, my lord, my daughter is called Chu Hanyan. She is on the Fenglin campus, 18 kilometers away from our judgment city in a straight line. If we take a detour, it will be farther away. Lord, you don't have to worry about it. It's been more than a month since the end of the world. Maybe Hanyan will be gone long ago. Looking at Li Yun with a half smile, Lin Fan didn't say anything and turned to look at Zhang Kaiyu on the right. And you? Zhang Kaiyu was a little flattered, and I said my subordinate is also an only daughter. Her name is Qin Yue. She is only 18 years old this year. Before the end of the day, she went to the Magic City Stadium to watch a celebrity concert. If she is still alive, she should be there, not far from Fenglin campus. Not far. Lin Fan knew that the Magic City Stadium is a large stage that can accommodate 80,000 people. If it were not for the Emperor Superstar, he would generally not dare to hold a concert in this place. The popularity is not enough to support it, even for singers of the level of JJ and Ziki. It is possible to hold a concert in this place. It is true that, as Zhang Kaiyu said, the Fenglin campus is not far from the Magic City Stadium, only 1 or 2 kilometers. Anyway, it is about this distance. Okay, I get it, but is there anyone's concert at the Magic City Stadium before the end of the world? Lin Fan really doesn't know about this. He always watches celebrity concerts on TV. He doesn't have any fanatical thoughts about chasing stars. At most, he just likes them. I heard it was Deng Qi, and there seemed to be some other singers, but I don't know the details. Hearing the name Zhang Kaiyu said, Lin Fan nodded thoughtfully. He was very familiar with this female singer. She was a capable singer. She was born in Shanghai. She graduated from Beidao Academy of Performing Arts. She was a nice person. It's just that the brokerage company is not a good thing. If I have time, I will go there for a walk and go out to eat. Sooner or later, the city of judgment will expand. If you are still alive, you can save it along the way. If you are not lucky and become the lunch of zombies, there is nothing you can do. Chu Hanyan of Maple Forest Campus, Qin Yue, and Deng Qi of Magic City Stadium, he remembered. Stay tuned. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 167. Chapter 167. Double Superpower Advancement, Terrifying Improvement. After breakfast, Lin Fan exchanged 4 jade talismans from the system space. The function of this thing is very simple, that is, it can open the city gates in the 4 directions of east, west, north, and south. These things will be used by the squadron leaders from the 4 directions will take control, that is, the first generation Li Fengjiao and others. There is no problem with the faith of these women, they are like fanatic believers. With them guarding the city gate, Lin Fan feels relieved, and this jade talisman needs to be handed over. There will be people guarding the city wall 24 hours a day. When each squadron changes shifts, they need to hand over the city gate jade talisman. From today on, the female soldiers will no longer live in the hospital, but in empty houses near the city wall. There are not many differences in the inner city, except that there are many empty houses. Let alone less than 2,000 female warriors, even more than 20,000 can definitely be accommodated. Handing these 4 jade talismans to Lin Yuyu, looking at her puzzled expression, Lin Fan said these are the jade talismans for opening the city gate, 1 each for the east, west, north, and south. Whether the city gate is opened or closed, the female warrior needs to use the qi in her body. Activate, this thing is handed over to you, you can just choose the female warriors of the first generation to guard the city wall. Hearing Lin Fan talk about this matter yesterday, Lin Yuyu understood it in his heart and took the 4 jade talismans. After sensing it, I did feel a trace of Lin Fan's spiritual power. I must have used this trace of Lin Fan's spiritual power to open and close the city gate. I know, I will handle this matter properly. He handed the jade talisman to Lin Yuyu with confidence. The earth element energy in his body surged throughout his body. Lin Fan's figure quickly submerged into the ground. In the earth, Lin Fan was like a fish entering the water, feeling free and easy. For more than half a minute on time, we came to the underground of the East City Gate. The areas close to the 4 major city gates will be where female warriors live. The underground of these areas must be planted with piranha and man-eating vines first, so as to ensure the safety of female warriors. Pressing his palm on the wall of the sewer, a large piece of man-eating vine broke through the wall and popped out. Piranha flowers bloomed one after another. The green man-eating vine kept spreading and quickly covered the entire sewer pipe. Lin Fan moved forward slowly. As he walked through, the dry and dead sewer became green, and even exuded a faint sweet smell. The area with a radius of 1 kilometer near the city gate was covered with man-eating vines and piranha flowers. Lin Fan stopped the output of wood element energy. For now, a 1 kilometer radius is definitely enough in a short time, and there is even a lot left over. There are only less than 2,000 female warriors in total, and 1 person per person in such a big place. This is enough for a villa. This is just the East City Gate. There are also the West City Gate, the North City Gate and the South City Gate. With the blessing of the earth element, Lin Fan quickly came to the North City Gate next to him, followed the same pattern, and quickly approached the North City Gate. Underground, a radius of 1 kilometer was completely occupied by man-eating vines and piranha flowers. What followed was a nightmare for the rats. After walking through 2 areas in a row, less than 1/3 of the wood element energy in Lin Fan's body was left. This amount Lin Fan did not consider continuing to the West City Gate for the time being, but came to the ground. There was still 1 day left, so there was no rush for the time being. The next step was to kill zombies to gain points, and to increase the levels of several abilities. In addition to the remaining magnetic field and thunder and lightning abilities were all about to be upgraded. It was almost the last step. The figure slowly appeared outside the city. Before Lin Fan even raised his head, he heard waves of zombies. A roar came, and with a stamp of his foot, the ground cracked, and vines as thick as a child's arm surged out from the ground. The vines like steel whips were hung with dense barbs, like a hacksaw. The vines were like a hacksaw. The poisonous dragon flew, and wherever it passed, the rushing zombies turned into fly ash the moment they touched the vines. The existence of the vines was like a blood pump, which could instantly absorb the virus light energy contained in the zombies' bodies. Completely clean, and then completely transformed into pure source power. Ding, kill zombies, score add 1, wood element control experience add 1, current experience is 9795/10,000. Ding, kill zombies, score add 1, wood element control experience add 1, current experience is 9850/10,000. Ding. Ding, kill zombies, score add 1, wood element control experience add 1, current experience is 10,000/10,000. Ding. The experience reaches full value, and the wood element control ability is advanced. The current level is LV7. 100,000 experience is required to advance to the next level. The wood element ability, which was only just a step away, quickly crossed the threshold under Lin Fan's killing of zombies. He took a step further. As the experience reached full value, the wood element condensed to its peak. The energy was detonated in Lin Fan's body. A steady stream of life energy washed through Lin Fan's body, strengthening Lin Fan's body, removing some magazines, and constantly pushing Lin Fan's body to the state of perfection. Roaring inside Lin Fan's body. Roaring. With Lin Fan as the center, the surging wood element energy condensed into substance and transformed into a swimming dragon. It has a head like a camel, horns like a deer, eyes like a rabbit, ears like an ox, a neck like a snake, and a belly like a mirage. With scales like a carp, claws like an eagle, and palms like a tiger, the lifelike green dragon looks up to the sky and roars, and the flying dragon whiskers show the majesty of the dragon. The green dragon roars endlessly, and its huge body nearly 100 meters long is filled with supreme energy. The majestic and turbulent dragon power stirred up, and the air waves like a strong wind blew away all the zombies that rushed over. The boiling earth element energy traveled crazily in the blood, purifying the blood, strengthening the body, and finally running for a week, a massive amount of wood elemental energy surged into the liver like a swallow returning to its nest, just like the previous thunder elemental power, occupying the acupoints between the eyebrows. On the street, in the eyes of the 100-meter-long wood element dragon exuding endless majesty, the huge body spread out, and the figure quickly flew into the air. The dragon's head looked down at the street below, its huge mouth opened, and the terrifying suction enveloped the entire street, like a black hole, constantly swallowing the sea. Sucking, the zombies on the ground couldn't resist the suction force and poured into the dragon's mouth one after another. Ding, kill zombies, score add 1, wood element control experience add 1, current experience is 95/10W. Ding, kill zombies, score add 1, wood element control experience add 1, current experience is 180/10W. Ding. Ding, kill zombies, score add 1, wood element control experience add 1, current experience is 4130/10W. The whale swallowed the sea, and the entire main road, which was nearly 1 kilometer long, was covered. Densely packed zombies rose into the sky and poured into the mouth of the dragon. Then they were all digested into source power, and their experience and points also increased like crazy. With his eyes open, Lin Fan raised his head and glanced at the dragon gathering in mid-air. His eyes swept across the street. The street that was originally filled with zombies was now clean without any zombies. Only 1 kilometer away, there were a large number of zombies. The zombies were attracted by the breath of living people and roars, and were running towards them. After closing their eyes and feeling it, the liver was exuding infinite vitality, and all the wood elements were rooted in it. Even if it was not mobilized, Lin Fan could feel it. Seeing the vast wood elemental energy contained in it. Opening his eyes, Lin Fan looked at the group of corpses running towards the end of the street. He took a step forward and was 1 kilometer away in an instant. He raised his foot and stomped, and the wide main road shook like the earth dragon turned over, and countless soil spikes like steel nails sprang out from the ground. The 2-meter-long soil spikes penetrated the soles of the zombies' feet, and then pierced their heads, or directly pierced their necks. In an instant, several hundred meters in front of Lin Fan, impaled corpses were hung up. The zombies that were still running were all dead at this moment. Ding, kill zombies, score add 1, earth element control experience add 1, current experience is 9877/10,000. Ding, kill zombies, score add 1, earth element control experience add 1, current experience is 9910/10,000. Ding. Ding, kill zombies, score add 1, earth element control experience add 1, current experience is 10,000/10,000. Ding. When the experience reaches full value, the earth element control ability is advanced. The current level is LV7. 100,000 experience is required to advance to the next level. Following this, the earth elemental power advanced. The thick earth elemental energy was activated at this moment. It was like thousands of troops charging through the blood vessels. The heavy pressure was vibrating. With Lin Fan as the center of the circle, a circle with a radius of several the ground for kilometers seems to be vibrating. No. In other words, the earth is alive, just like a human heart beating, dong dong, dong dong, the dull pulse sound carries an indescribable majesty. In front of the prestige, even the irrational zombies stopped at this moment, the ferocious expression on their faces softened, and they stopped in place like a puppet. The thick earth element washed over Lin Fan's body, visible to the naked eye. The skin texture is stronger, the lines are finer, and it seems to have terrifying defense power. After washing the essence and marrow, the impurities in the bones are removed, and the new skeleton is even more terrifying, as bright as jade. 2 consecutive powers have been promoted to LV7, Lin Fan's physique has been strengthened unimaginably, and he seems to be one step closer to immortality. Dong 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 dong, the pulse of the earth continues. Lin Fan steps on the earth, and it seems that at this moment, he is echoing the earth under his feet. At this moment, he seems to be this earth, and he can do anything, he controls the life and death of all living things. The arm was slowly raised, the palms were spread out, the palms were facing the sky, the slender 5 fingers slowly met the center and closed together. Waves of pressure spread. Time and space seemed to pause at this moment, and then, boom! The ground seemed to shake, and there was a loud sound like thunder, but there seemed to be nothing. However, as the sound shook, the ground seemed to spread ripples, like a pebble thrown into water, and the water rippled. As he drove forward, the puppet-like zombie in the distance lowered his head at this moment, and all the skills in his body were necrotic at this moment. These zombies are complete on the surface, but if someone cuts them open and looks at them, they will find that all the blood vessels, bones, organs and even brains in these zombies have been shaken to pulp, and they are already dead and can no longer die. Even if Deluo Jinxian came, he could only shake his head. The ripples spread continuously, with Lin Fan as the center, covering several kilometers in radius. Within the city wall, Zhao Wanqing, who came with her team, suddenly felt a little tight in her heart, but this feeling soon disappeared. I thought these were illusions, but when Zhao Wanqing turned her head and glanced suspiciously at the female warriors behind her, she found that almost all of them were like her. They subconsciously covered their hearts, but their faces were blank and their expressions were almost exactly the same as hers. Did you feel a feeling of tightness in your chest just now? Looking at Zhao Wanqing in surprise, Zhou Ziyan nodded doubtfully and said in confusion, it did happen for a moment, but it disappeared in the blink of an eye. Commander, is there something wrong? Zhao Wanqing hesitated and looked to the northeast. Over there, she felt Lin Fan's breath. It's okay. The abnormality just now should be from the master. Let's move on. Zhu Fangfang, your team, please guard the city gate. Zhu Fangfang clenched the city gate jade talisman in her hand. It was given to her by Lin Yuya personally at that time. It was a heavy responsibility and she did not dare to neglect it. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 168. Chapter 168, Demon Fire Level Upgrade, Moving Natural Disaster. On the city wall, Zhu Fangfang led a team of 10 female warriors to stand on the city wall. Today she is leading a team on duty on the city wall, rotating once a day, and someone will come to hand over to her tomorrow morning. Standing on the city gate tower, the city gate under their feet has been opened. Zhao Wanqing is leading the team, followed by hundreds of female warriors. The lightning bursts, and the zombies who tried to rush into the city gate were electrocuted into charcoal, making it impossible for them to rush into the city gate. Zhao Wanqing took the lead and rushed out, bathed in thunder and lightning. Dozens of female warriors with 4-dimensional attributes exceeding 20 points followed closely behind. They shot through the siege of countless zombies like a sharp arrow. The hundreds of female warriors behind did not follow. None of these female warriors' 4-dimensional attributes reached 20 points, which did not meet the requirements for going out at all. They could only form an iron barrel formation under the leadership of some second-generation female warriors, and continuously strangled the zombies that rushed up. On the city wall, Zhu Fangfang looked down at the scene below. If she hadn't been tasked with defending the city, she would have wanted to rush down and kill the zombies. Killing zombies would not only improve her strength, but also gain military exploits. Military exploits are very valuable. Used to exchange for judgment coins. Judgment coin is the hard currency of Judgment City. In theory, it can buy anything, even divine power. It's just that the price is too high. The price of 1 million judgment coins is almost scary to death. What is the concept of 1 million judgment coins? This requires killing 100,000 zombies to save enough. In fact, are there really 100,000 zombies? It's obviously impossible. How long does it take to kill 100,000 zombies? Didn't you spend any judgment coins during this process? Does it cost money to eat? Does it cost money to buy things? Especially the source power crystal in the store. Zhu Fangfang had eaten it before, and it directly made her break through to a new level. This is simply a powerful tonic pill. It can be called an elixir. One pill of this stuff costs 15,000 judgment coins. Do you want to change it? Zhu Fangfang said that she really couldn't help it. She definitely had to change it. Changing one would mean she would be further away from the 1 million judgment coin. Apart from anything else, after working hard all day yesterday, she only killed more than 100 zombies. It only cost over 1,000 judgment coins for a full fight. This is not because she is not strong enough, but she has to have rules. If the team goes out and kills all over the world without rules, the achievements will come quickly, but is that okay? It definitely won't work. It was because of teamwork that her number of kills seemed to be much lower. She had to defend the city today, so she didn't have time to kill zombies. But fortunately, the salary for defending the city was not low. She was like this, 2 kills a day. Thousands of judgment coins, if calculated, is basically the same as her going out to kill zombies. The team members under his command seemed to have only 800 a day, but it was still a lot. This thing was strictly screened and reviewed, and the average was calculated based on strength and the number of zombies killed every day. Anyway, Zhu Fangfang was quite satisfied. The only thing I'm not happy about is that I have to move out of the hospital. I originally had fewer opportunities to see Lin Fan. Now that I've moved out, I can only look at photos every day to get spiritual comfort. Thunderbolt. Boom. The roar attracted Zhu Fangfang's attention. She looked up and looked thousands of meters away. Over there, the thunder light cleared the way. Wherever the flowing electric light passed, zombies were electrocuted into coke. Dozens of figures moved forward quickly. The Tang sword in their hands was illuminated by the rising sun. Below, there is a cold light. Looking at Zhao Wanqing, who was bathed in the lightning and looked like a goddess of thunder and lightning, Zhu Fangfang felt unspeakable envy in her heart. When I save 1 million judgment coins, I will immediately exchange them for lightning powers. Not only can I become stronger, but I can also see the Lord up close. Granting divine power always requires skin contact, right? Even if you can touch my face, I will be satisfied, Gudu. After swallowing her saliva, Zhu Fangfang's eyes almost shone. However, just having judgment coins is not enough, you also need to have enough positions. The minimum requirement is to be the commander of LV6. I am now the squadron leader of LV4. It should be no problem to be promoted to the commander of LV6, right? It must be no problem. Withdrawing her gaze, Zhu Fangfang secretly cheered herself up. She turned around and glanced at the 10 female warriors standing on the city wall, watching the situation below with vigilance. Zhu Fangfang cleared her throat and shouted, "Cheer up, once you find out it's dangerous. Remember to warn your companions below at any time. Do you hear me?" "Heard it, team leader." Zhu Fangfang nodded with satisfaction, with a smile on her face. "Very good, very impressive. The task of defending the city is not just to stand and open the city gate. Standing high and seeing far, being able to detect some dangers in time and alert the female warriors below, this is the real task. If the light is on the city wall, you can get a lot of judgment coins after standing there for 1 day. Where can such a good thing happen in the world?" On another main road, Lin Fan turned his head and looked at the city wall behind him. Just now he felt that the mental power in the Jade Talisman was being stimulated. It seemed that Zhao Wanqing, who was in charge here, had led the team out. He shook his head and looked inside. The internal organs appeared in Lin Fan's perception. At this time, the liver was emitting a rich green light, and the thick vitality was constantly flowing. Spreads, warming and nourishing the body. The spleen is wrapped in thick earth element energy. Now 2 of the 5 internal organs have been occupied by earth elements. Sooner or later, the 5 internal organs will become the entrenchment point of various attribute energies. Like a hole, it was opened up into a small world by energy, storing infinite vast energy. He withdrew his gaze and looked at the terrifying forest of impaled corpses in front of him. With a wave of his hand, the soil thorn instantly sank into the ground, and the dragon flying next to him opened his mouth to inhale. In an instant, all the corpses were swallowed by the dragon and turned into the purest source of power. Next is the demon cat superpower. Unlike Muyuking, it should be said that Lin Fan has awakened some new superpower. Muyuking's Bien will awaken some powers accordingly. After all, he is the high-level imparter. Telekinesis is of no use to Lin Fan. It is the same as the previous choice, all of which strengthen the demon fire, so there will be no experience at all. The phenomenon of doubling. However, if the demon fire is used, these zombies in front of him will be dead. Thinking of this, Lin Fan can't help but shake his head. The destructive power of the demon fire is too strong. The corpses of the zombies will evaporate directly, and there will be no trace of them at all. The opportunity to extract source power will be temporarily stopped after reaching LV7. The light of demonic fire danced in the pupils of Lin Fan's eyes. Wherever Lin Fan looked, the zombies rushing towards him spontaneously ignited. They couldn't run even 2 steps before they became turned into a torch and evaporate out of thin air. Ding, kill zombies, score add 1, demon cat superpower experience add 1, current experience is 9317/10,000. Ding, kill zombies, points add 1, demon cat superpower experience add 1, current experience is 9850/10,000. Ding. Ding, kill zombies, score add 1, demon cat superpower experience add 1, current experience is 10,000/10,000. Ding. When the experience reaches full value, the demon cat superpowers will advance. The current level is LV7. It takes 100,000 experience to advance to the next level. The rich flame energy broke through the shackles. In an instant, the air temperature for several kilometers suddenly soared by more than 10 degrees. The closer to Lin Fan, the higher the temperature. The scarlet-colored demonic fire burned blazingly on Lin Fan's body. The terrifying high temperature, wave after wave surged, and under the terrifying high temperature, the street was instantly melted into magma. Waves of heat waves transpired, and the magma was quickly crystallized. Around Lin Fan, the buildings on both sides were like wax statues that encountered high temperatures. They turned green under the terrifying flames, and then droplets of magma dripped from high altitudes. On the ground, magma bubbles exuding the smell of sulfur exploded, pungent. The smell spread wildly into the distance along with the high temperature. On the main road 3 kilometers away, a heat wave hit her face. Zhao Wanqing frowned and looked up in the direction of the heat wave. Her eyes were stunned immediately. Between the gaps in the tall buildings, the sky was filled with blood, and the space was faintly distorted by the high temperature. If you look closely, you can still see the high-rise buildings in the distance being roasted by the high temperature. In the area near the center of the heat wave, the high-rise buildings have even melted into magma. Almost transparent lava flows down from the sky like a waterfall. So hot. Zhou Ziyan fanned the hot air on her face with her small hands. Under the waves of heat, fine beads of hot sweat even appeared on Zhou Ziyan's delicate and beautiful face. The female warriors next to her were even worse, and their lips were already a little dry. Taking a deep look at the direction of the heat wave, Zhao Wanqing rolled her eyes silently, pointed to the main road next to her and said, "Let's go over there, avoid this fire cage, and go to another main road to clean up the zombies." Zhao Wanqing was very desperate. What can she do? The temperature of her man's breakthrough is too high. She can withstand it, but the female warrior under her can't. If she waits a little longer, she will probably be roasted to death. How can she bear this? Zhao Wanqing never expected that instead of being forced to take a detour by the zombies, she would be forced to take a detour by Lin Fan first. On the main road, Lin Fan was unaware of the resentment in Zhao Wanqing's heart. At this time, his whole body was bathed in demonic fire. The violent flame energy swept through everything, almost drying out the blood and cells, especially the jade-like skeleton. It's more like it has been forged and tempered countless times, and you can even see the faintly flowing fire-colored thin lines inside the bones. Streams of black energy evaporated from Lin Fan's body, and then were completely evaporated. These were some deeper toxins. Perhaps when there was no breakthrough before, these were not considered toxins, but as they broke through again, these low-level toxins things become a burden and need to be eliminated in order to make the body more perfect and stronger. The monstrous sea of fire turned the sky into a pink color, and the terrifying high temperature almost destroyed everything around Lin Fan. With Lin Fan as the center, a radius of 1 kilometer almost turned into a blank area, and the buildings on both sides were all destroyed by the terrifying high temperature. Incineration. Opening his eyes, the flames in his eyes condensed into substance. As he glanced across, the sea of fire around him was distorted. The space became very unstable, and there seemed to be a faint feeling that it was about to split. Taking a deep breath, the spreading sea of fire sucked in from all directions like a whale swallowing the sea. The energy came from all directions and was swallowed by Lin Fan along his nostrils. The boiling fire elemental energy roared in his body, his heart beat vigorously, swallowing up all the fire elemental energy. The heart belongs to fire, and shrouded in massive fire element energy, the whole heart seems to be burning with blazing flames, like a furnace of earthly fire. The sea of fire that spread over a kilometer in radius disappeared. Lin Fan looked down at the sea of magma under his feet and couldn't help scratching his head. Why is this breakthrough so popular? This is almost becoming a moving volcano. If someone messes with me next time, I will go directly to his door to break through. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Doomsday. Chapter 169. Chapter 169, Skyrocketing Points, the first high-level power. The demonic fire breakthrough did not make much noise. Except for the sky stained with flames, the rest was not even 1/10 of the thunder and lightning breakthrough. However, the degree of damage caused was incomparable to the thunder and lightning breakthrough. The last time the thunder and lightning power broke through, the thunder that fell from the sky caused the roof of the department store to collapse at most. The thunder was heavy and the rain was small, but the demon fire power was different. Although there was no earth-shattering explosion or big scene, the damage caused, although it is powerful, it cannot be calculated at all. Everything within a kilometer radius was evaporated and turned into a boundless sea of magma. Before the end of the world, such a large degree of destruction would cause property losses of hundreds of billions. This is not counting the casualties. Now, there is nothing left except magma within a kilometer radius. In this kilometer area, the zombies don't even have any hair and are directly vaporized and evaporated. Seeing the horrific damage caused by the breakthrough, Lin Fan shook his head, spread out his hands, palms facing down, and a terrifying suction force exploded. The palms of his hands were like two black holes, sucking in the sea of magma, constantly sucking out the underground magma sea of fire elemental energy. As a large amount of fire element energy was extracted, the 1 kilometer wide magma sea started from the most edge area. The color of the magma turned from fire to dim, the temperature dropped, and finally turned into pitch black magma rock. A steady stream of flame energy poured into Lin Fan's body from his feet. Lin Fan could feel that the fire element energy in his body was highly active, and even the purity of the demon fire had been improved. After draining all the fire elements from the underground magma sea, Lin Fan exhaled a breath of turbid air. The surging energy was spit out from his mouth. The air in front of him was distorted and deformed by the impact of this turbid air. System, open personal properties. Character, Lin Fan. Strength, 281. Agility, 286. Intelligence, 285. Physique, 310. Points, 12, 0110. Ability, Magnetic Field Control LV7 Lightning Control LV7 Wood Element Control LV7 Earth Element Control LV7 Demon Cat LV7. Experience, 40091/10W, 10137/10W, 4597/10W, 11650/10W, 14105/10W. Items owned. Flying knife. Looking at the skyrocketing points, everyone in Lin was stunned. Of course, this was also due to the female warriors who fought at the 4 city gates. The numerical advantage was reflected at this moment. In the true sense, they gathered sand to form a tower. Together, there are nearly 2,000 female warriors. As long as each of them kills 10 zombies, that's nearly 20,000 points. Not to mention Zhao Wanqing, Lin Yuyu, Zhao Yanyan, Li Saiqi, and Mu Yuqing, who are some experts in earning points. Although the 5 of them are not as powerful as Lin Fan, they can still do it, stomp their feet and block the road. Hundreds of zombies died suddenly. Let's not talk about points, let's talk about the 4-dimensional attributes. The growth is also very scary. From just breaking 200, it is directly approaching the 300 mark, and even the physical constitution has exceeded 300 points, reaching as many as 310 points. How terrifying is this? Shredding Gundam by hand is not a problem at all, of course, provided it is available. Evaporating everything within a radius of 1 kilometer, this was something Lin Fan did not expect. Some of the zombies at the front 1 kilometer away were almost burned to death. Lin Fan's figure flashed and arrived 1 kilometer away. The flying knives that had not been taken out for a long time appeared again. Under the control of the magnetic field, these flying knives shuttled on the main road. The zombies that rushed over were shot in the head, and vines sprouted from the ground. Before the corpses of these zombies fell, they all turned into flying ashes, and then were blown away by the zombies rushing up from behind. Ding, kill zombies, score add 1, magnetic field control ability experience add 1, current experience is 39189/10W. Ding, kill zombies, score add 1, magnetic field control ability experience add 1, current experience is 39590/10W. Ding. Alert sounded in his mind. Lin Fan didn't pay too much attention to these. He didn't pay attention to the zombies in front of him at all. At this time, he had put most of his attention on the system mall. The points finally exceeded the 100,000 mark. Lin Fan had been thinking about the high-level powers, such as time powers, space powers, fate powers, speech powers, etc. If he hadn't had insufficient points before, he would have got one of these already. Now that he has enough points, how can Lin Fan still hold back? Then you must start redeeming it as soon as possible. If you have enough points, why don't you redeem it? Isn't it enough that the points can still produce 2 cubs? Time power, after purchasing, you can obtain the power to control time. The initial level is LV1 and the price is 100,000 points. Space power, after purchasing, you can obtain the power to control space. The initial level is LV1 and the price is 100,000 points. Destiny power, after purchase, you can control the direction of destiny. The higher the skill level, the greater the level of control. The initial level is LV1, and the price is 100,000 points. Speech Spirit Power. After purchasing, you can obtain the ability of the Speech Spirit. You can follow your words and twist the rules. The higher the skill level, the more terrifying the impact of the Speech Spirit Power. It should be noted that the use requirements beyond the scope of the Speech Spirit will result in failure. Initially level LV1, priced at 100,000 points. Fantasy Manifestation Ability. After purchasing, you can have the ability to manifest fantasy, twist the rules, and manifest any props or life according to the skill level and mental power. The initial level is LV1, and the price is 100,000 points. Create Powers. Destruction Ability. Lin Fan was dazzled by the high-level abilities displayed one after another in the system mall. He actually didn't know what to choose. Time is revered and space is king. This sentence can be said to have poisoned an era. However, Lin Fan feels that Yanling is also very good. He can follow his words easily and it is exciting to think about it. However, this thing is too demanding and the definition is not very clear. Not easy to distinguish. Who can always grasp that degree? This is purely for fun and is not very helpful at the moment. The embodiment of fantasy, this thing is as powerful as the mind. It is more level hungry. In the early stage, it is estimated that you will only need basic props such as knives and guns. Don't even think about reaching up to these. It is useless for the time being. Consider. On the other hand, the power of destiny is a bit interesting. It controls the direction of destiny. Simply put, it is an intelligence-lowering halo. Although it looks very interesting, it has little practical use. With his strength, does he need to lower other people's IQs? You can pass it by pushing horizontally, and you can pass this thing, so you can save the tickets for future play. After thinking about it, it seems that time and space are more suitable. As for the ability to create, there is not much difference in the realization of this fantasy. Is it possible that the level 1 creative ability can also transform a living person? That must be impossible. Time or space, which one is better? Lin Fan is scratching his head a little. The time power is very strong, but the space power is not weak either. The difference lies in how to use it. After thinking about it, Lin Fan feels that the space power is more useful. I bought it now and will slowly upgrade it. I will definitely expand my sphere of influence in the future. When the level is high, I will build a space gate, go in at this end, and come out at the other end. It is simple, fast and trouble-free. Space powers are suitable for long-distance travel. In the future, I will definitely build cities in major cities. This space power seemed to have a higher priority. With the decision made in his mind, Lin Fan did not hesitate any longer and immediately chose to redeem it. System, exchange space abilities for me. Ding. 100,000 points have been deducted. Congratulations, Lord, on gaining advanced superpower space control. Do you want to fuse it now? Fusion. After the words fell, a stream of strange energy poured into his body. As this force appeared, Lin Fan could feel that the surrounding space had a sense of intimacy. He could even control it at will, but it was limited by the lack of space energy. He couldn't use space to do anything too outrageous. For example, opening a space door, making a space jump alone, or solidifying the space in a certain area. The fusion of space powers ended quickly, and Lin Fan raised he started his hand, and the space energy flowed in his palm. With a wave of his hand, the space was stripped away and turned into a sharp blade that flew out. This sharp blade shuttled through the space and almost flew to the head of the zombie the moment it was thrown out. Up. The space blade passed through the zombie's head without any hindrance. To a normal person, the space seemed to be distorted, and then the zombie heads blocking the road exploded one after another. It was not until the energy of the space blade was exhausted that it disappeared. With this casual blow, Dozens of zombie heads were severed in a straight line. Ding. Killing zombies add 1, points add 1, space control ability experience add 1, current experience 1/100. Ding. Killing zombies add 1, points add 1, space control ability experience add 1, current experience 10/100. Ding. Killing zombies add 1, points add 1, space control ability experience add 1, current experience is 34/100. A series of prompts came. Lin Fan looked at the system prompts and subconsciously twitched his horns. Good guy, not only has the price increased, but the upgrade experience has also increased. LV1 requires 100 experience points. The normal abilities have been advanced to level 3, and they can even gain some experience. Lin Fan suddenly felt a little lucky now. Fortunately, he did not choose other abilities before, otherwise the promotion experience would be a bit overwhelming and would be too slow. If you spend 100,000 points to buy a high-level ability, can you upgrade it? If you upgrade it, it will drag the rhythm. If you don't upgrade it with 100,000 points, it will be wasted. And according to this upgrade experience, if you want to upgrade to the level where you can open a space gate, it would really take a long time, assuming that he simply doubled his experience by 10 times, rather than increasing it in decimal form. If it were in decimal form, Lin Fan would probably turn green. Withdrawing the surrounding flying knives, the magnetic field, there is no rush to upgrade control for the time being. Let's improve the space ability first. Otherwise, when will it come in handy? He has no shortage of means to kill zombies. He bought the space ability because of his convenient transportation. No more blocked by the flying knives, the charging momentum of the zombies was unstoppable, and they rushed towards Lin Fan one after another. Looking at these ferocious-looking zombies, Lin Fan clasped his hands together and suddenly pulled. Space energy surged in his palms, and in an instant, a half-moon more than 1 meter long, the space blade appeared out of thin air. As Lin Fan pushed with both hands, the 1 meter long space blade shot out in an instant, and the zombies rushing towards him were chopped into 2 pieces. The space blade passed through the residence, and the cut surface was neat and smooth. The space energy contained completely destroyed the complete ecosystem of the zombies. Even if they were cut in half, these zombies would no longer be able to stand up and die completely. This is the advantage of the superpower, the energy contained is destruction. It's sexual, there's no need to go out of your way to hit the head, even the energy in the female warriors' bodies is the same, full of aggression and destructiveness. Ding. Killing zombies add 1, points add 1, space control ability experience add 1, current experience 58/100. Ding. Killing zombies add 1, points add 1, space control ability experience add 1, current experience 100/100. Ding. Congratulations to the Lord for advancing to LV2 with his space control ability. It takes 0/500 experience to advance to the next level. Ding. Killing zombies add 1, points add 1, space control ability experience add 1, current experience 20/500. Ding. Killing zombies add 1, points add 1, space control ability experience add 1, current experience is 126/500. The prompt sound was running wildly. As the skill level increased, the spatial abilities in the body became more abundant. At the same time, Lin Fan could feel that the surrounding space was becoming easier to control. It was not as obscure as before. He could even use the same energy to create several times the previous attack. The non-decimal experience increase also made Lin Fan relieved. If the next level requires 1000 experience to be promoted, then there will be real despair. If the promotion to LV3 is 1000, LV4 will be 10,000, and LV5 it's 10W, and I've caught up with the level 7 promotion of the magnetic field ability to level 8. Fortunately, it's not a decimal, it's just that the experience has increased tenfold. This is probably the best good news. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Doomsday. Chapter 170. Chapter 170. Since we don't have it, let's destroy him. Grass. Why is the water cut off? I'm taking a shower, what's going on? In the Universal Hotel, a violent roar suddenly came, and immediately after, a man with a swollen face wrapped in a bath towel opened the door of the presidential suite and walked out. He grabbed a man next to him and Zhao Ben roared, "Go! Let me check and find out why the water supply suddenly stopped." Being pushed casually by Zhao Ben, the man staggered. He was not angry at all. He lowered his head and said with a smile, "Yes, brother, I'll go and see what's going on right away." Not long after Zhao Ben's shouting and cursing disappeared, a man with gold-rimmed glasses and a straight figure came over from the corner. Looking at the man's disappearing figure with a frown, Zhao Deng asked, "Brother, what happened? Already?" Zhao Ben turned to look at Zhao Deng, who was walking over. The anger on his face disappeared and he said with a gloomy look on his face, "I was just happy and sweating all over. I wanted to take a bath, but the water suddenly stopped and it got all over me. The soap suds had to be rinsed with pure water in the suite to get rid of the soap suds. It was really unlucky." Having said this, Zhao Ben looked at Zhao Deng's crisp black suit, scratched his head, and asked Aiden, "Aren't you hot wearing this in the summer? A suit is just a thing you can wear on formal occasions. It's so awkward. Why do you think you still can't bear to take it off?" Zhao Ben and Zhao Deng are two brothers. The eldest brother Zhao Ben is typically brave and foolhardy, but he is really good at being fierce and cruel. Before the end of the world, Zhao Ben was a black boxer. When the end came, Zhao Ben relied on his strong personal strength to defeat him. Most of the boxers in the underground black boxing ring were conquered. Coupled with some good prospects described by Zhao Deng, many black boxers were subdued by the Zhao Ben brothers without much resistance. The eldest brother Zhao Ben was responsible for presiding over major events, while Zhao Deng they were making suggestions from the side. Over the past month or so, the power of the two brothers has grown like a snowball. Zhao Deng is very smart and has a good vision. He has been calculating the previous four major forces, namely Lu Jinbei and Wang Kui. In Zhao Deng's plan, these people were two brothers who were sitting on the mountain watching the fight between tigers and tigers, ready to reap the benefits. But unexpectedly, Lu Jinbei, who was drunk in the nightclub, was suddenly taken away. If he hadn't been observing the hidden clues found that something was wrong. They didn't know that the Zy Shengmeng Si bar had been destroyed. Then there was an explosion from the Zhenlong Hotel. The billowing smoke was obviously abnormal. The dispatch detectives brought back the news that the Zhenlong Hotel Wang Kui was also killed, but it was not Lu Zihan who did it. According to the secret whistle report, Lu Zihan came out in force, but went back in disgrace with no gains at all. Not only was Wang Kui killed, but also the women in the dark fragrance bar, they all disappeared. This abnormal situation immediately attracted Zhao Deng's attention. When he noticed that things had changed, Zhao Deng chose to protect himself wisely and retreated. In this regard, Zhao Ben had always listened to Zhao Deng. He knew he didn't have the ability in this area, so he didn't give any instructions. After leaving a few secret sentries, the two brothers retreated decisively with hundreds of people, not even the women were left behind. The two brothers fought for several kilometers and came to he there were people in the Universal Hotel who also had guns, and they quickly captured the Universal Hotel, a force with hundreds of people but no decent weapons. The strength of the two brothers expanded to more than 1,000 people in one fell swoop, and their power expanded rapidly. Not long after, I heard news from the secret whistle that Lu Zihan's forces had also been taken over. This frightened the two brothers. Not counting the dark fragrance bar, among the four major forces, Lu Zihan's equipment was the most complete. The individual anti-tank rocket launcher is simply too terrifying. When the conflict first broke out, 5 or 6 of their subordinates were killed in just one encounter. If it hadn't been for stealing chickens and killing some of Luzhikin's subordinates later, he would have obtained there were many weapons, and neither brother had the capital to compete with Luzhikin, but even Luzhikin, who was equipped with such terrifying equipment, was destroyed without making much noise. This situation made the brothers even more worried. Later, Zhao Deng, it is speculated that Luzhikin's power should have been wiped out by the thunder god rumored on the internet, including Wan Kuei and others. Apart from this, they could not think of a better result. After this inference, the two brothers were even more grateful that they had evacuated early, otherwise they would have been wiped out. There were probably 2 brothers in the list. Ignoring Zhao Bin, Zhao Deng lowered his head and pondered. He always felt that today's things were not that simple. The sudden water outage was full of weirdness. Before Zhao Deng could think of it, so suddenly, the man on guard on the rooftop suddenly walked down, carrying an anti-material sniper rifle in his arms. This anti-material sniper rifle was seized from Luzhikin. Otherwise, under normal circumstances, it would be difficult to obtain this thing without special channels. This is the Eastern Empire after all. The 2 brothers Zhao Bin and Zhao Deng said that before the end, you belong to the lowest level of society. Where can you get an anti-material sniper rifle? Big brother, second brother, I found a person upstairs. This person seems to be a person with abilities. Zhao Deng suddenly raised his head, looked at the strong man walking over, and frowned even more tightly. Xiao Gang, what did you just say? Did you find an esper on the roof of the building? Where? Forget it, lead the way. Sun Xiaogang was stunned for a moment, responded quickly, and turned to walk to the top floor. Zhao Deng followed behind with a frown. Zhao Bin returned to the presidential suite, took out 2 pieces of clothes and chased after him. On the top floor of the Universal Hotel, Sun Xiaogang stood on the rooftop. He went up, pointed to the street below, and said, eldest brother, second brother, look, that's the man I saw accidentally before. I thought something was wrong, so I ran down to inform you. Zhao Deng squinted his eyes, but unfortunately the Universal Hotel was too high. Looking down from a high place, he could only see the shadow of a person moving forward on the street, and then the crowded corpse wave could not stop the opponent's footsteps. Very strange corpses strewn all over the ground. Give me the telescope. Sun Xiaogang quickly handed the binoculars to Zhao Deng. After Zhao Deng took it, he looked at the street below. After a while of adjustment, the field of vision became clear. Looking at the man strolling on the street below, he waved his hand casually, and the big picture became clear. All the zombies were chopped in half. Such a scene made Zhao Deng couldn't help but curse secretly. Fuck. When did the Demon City have so many ability users? There were gods and thunder gods before, and now another one appeared out of nowhere. How stupid. Why don't I have one? Arden, show me. Zhao Bin next to him shouted eagerly. Zhao Deng was very upset and handed the telescope in his hand to Zhao Bin. Zhao Bin, who was anxious, took the telescope and looked at the street below. Immediately there was a burst of yelling and cursing. It's too late, isn't this outrageous? With a wave of your hand, zombies are as dead as wheat. What kind of ability is this? This is too outrageous. This is simply no way for people to survive. If I had this ability, that bullshit Luzhikin would be wiped out in minutes. The more he talked, the more depressed he became. Zhao Bin put down the telescope, looked at Zhao Deng next to him, and asked Deng, what should we do? Do you want to give him a try? We don't have it, and no one else can. He's awesome, at least he can't fly. It's very easy for us to kill him. As long as he is still human, he cannot withstand the bullets of an anti-materiel sniper rifle. I don't believe he can still be invulnerable. There is no doubt that Zhao Ben is jealous. This kind of gap that others have, and I don't make him very unhappy, especially because the other party's ability is so tyrannical and looks very powerful, which makes Zhao Ben feel even more uncomfortable. Give me the telescope. Zhao Deng did not make a decision immediately, but asked for the telescope. Zhao Ben handed the telescope to Zhao Deng depressedly and looked at Zhao Deng expectantly. He knew that this younger brother was thinking and calculating the feasibility of things. In this regard, whether it is before or after the apocalypse, the chance of Zhao Deng making a mistake is very low. Zhao Deng held the binoculars and carefully looked at the figure of the man walking step by step from the street in the distance, silently calculating in his heart. The man next to him, Zhao Ben, watched anxiously and walked back and forth, wishing to grab Zhao Deng's telescope and make a decision for him, but he also knew that this kind of thing was something he could only think about. While Zhao Ben was waiting anxiously, Zhao Deng put down the telescope in his hand. Telescope. Under Zhao Ben's expectant gaze, Zhao Deng said in a deep voice, I just observed it, and the opponent's attacks are very regular. Every time he waves, the killing area is about 2 meters wide and about 100 meters deep. There may be an error, but the basic problem is not big. In 5 minutes, the opponent took 5 shots, and the range of damage each time was fixed. From this, it can be inferred that if the opponent does not intend to control it, then the opponent's ability can only do this. I think the latter is more likely. Big, because the street is very long and there are many zombies. If he has the ability, he can do it more easily. We are at a high place. No matter what the opponent's attack principle is, attacking from low to high will increase consumption. We are now on the 56th floor of the Universal Hotel, with a height of 289 meters. No matter whether the opponent intentionally controls the distance or not, this height, it is basically impossible for the opponent to hit us. The more he listened, the more excited the expression on Zhao Ben's face became. The flesh on his face was trembling. Zhao Ben asked excitedly, Aiden, do you mean that we can take action? A smile appeared on his face, and Zhao Deng nodded. Theoretically, that's the case, but there is still one problem. If we don't solve this problem, I suggest that we don't take action for the time being and let the other party pass. It's best for everyone to live in peace. What is the problem? Zhao Ben said anxiously. Looking at Sun Xiaogang next to him, Zhao Deng said solemnly, Xiaogang, are you sure you can kill the opponent with a sniper? If this assassination fails and the other party escapes, we will be the ones who are scared. Sun Xiaogang glanced down at the figure on the street below, with a hint of ferocity on his honest face. Second brother, aren't you kidding me? The opponent is almost a fixed target, and his head doesn't even move. How could I miss it? Moreover, Sun Xiaogang patted the anti-material sniper rifle in his arms, pointed at the muzzle and said, we have a silencer here. It's a few hundred meters away. He probably won't know where he was shot until he dies. Sun Xiaogang's answer was as expected by Zhao Deng. He pushed up the gold-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose. Under Zhao Ben's expectant eyes, Zhao Deng smiled slightly and said, brother, give me the order. In fact, I haven't been feeling well for a long time. Since we don't have this kind of power, let's destroy it in our hands. We can't have it, but others can't have it either. We can't deal with people like Thor, but we can still deal with these little things. Zhao Ben was so excited that he turned around and patted Sun Xiaogang hard on the shoulder. The flesh on his face became more and more terrifying, and he said with a ferocious smile, Xiaogang, it's up to you. I can't help but want to see that kid's head explode.